Warrior Lore. Chapter 46-49. Pale Fragrance quietly looked at Su Mingyao, and Su Mingyao also quietly looked ahead. Is this really fate? Pale Fragrance muttered in her heart. Her figure disappeared and did not disturb them. Su Mingyao felt something in her heart, but when she turned around, she saw nothing. Pale Fragrance returned to the greenhouse. This time, she brought many fruits that could satisfy everyone's hunger. These were very rare things. At least when they were outside, no one could find them. Let's eat something first. Pale Fragrance's beautiful face always had a gentle smile. If you recover from your injuries, you can walk around. It might be helpful in increasing your strength. Zichun thanked her. The others also nodded at Pale Fragrance. Leaving the greenhouse, Pale Fragrance walked towards Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao was still looking at the sea of flowers in a daze. What are you thinking about? Pale Fragrance's voice came from the side. She sat beside Su Mingyao. Nothing. Su Mingyao shook her head. You've been looking here for a long time. What are you looking at? Pale Fragrance asked again. I don't know. I keep feeling that there's something interesting here, but I can't see it. Su Mingyao chuckled, then turned to look at Pale Fragrance. Why did you save us? Do you believe in fate? Pale Fragrance did not answer her question. Su Mingyao nodded. Of course, she was new to fate. She had always felt that it was fate that brought her together with Zichun. It's fate that brought you here. Even a simple gesture is also because of fate. Faint Fragrance smiled and said, Fate is a very mysterious thing, isn't it? What is this world? Looking at the beautiful flowers in front of her, Su Mingyao asked this question. I originally wanted to tell Zichun. If you want to know, I can tell you first. Forget it, I'll tell him. After Pale Fragrance left, Su Mingyao continued to sit there in a daze. Monk woke up from his deep sleep. He looked around vigilantly. When he saw his friends, he let out a sigh of relief. Pain still came from his body. He sat up. Everyone's gaze fell on Monk. Since you're awake, heal your wounds first. Zichun's calm voice sounded. The monk quickly glanced around. Other than Su Mingyao, he found that everyone was there, and they were in good condition. Where is this? The monk asked in a hoarse voice. It's a long story. Heal your wounds first. The Silver Wolf's crisis has been resolved. It's very safe here, Zichun said again. Zhang Haoyan threw a crystal over, and the monk caught it. After using the evil spirit, he forgot everything. His consciousness was out of control, and he didn't even know if he would still be alive. This was also the reason why he had always been unwilling to admit this ability, because it could only be used once, and his life and death would be out of his control. Furthermore, he was the good and evil monk. Why did the evil thoughts appear but the good thoughts did not? He had always thought that he was kind, but he never thought that he would be slapped in the face by reality. After Mild Fragrance delivered 2 more fruits, Zichun's injuries were fully healed. At this point, with the exception of Tyrant and the Demon Ape, everyone else had recovered from their injuries and had gone to the Sea of Flowers. Zichun stood up, glanced at the 2 of them, and walked out. Wang Xian, and the rest were playing in the Sea of Flowers, looking very happy. Su Mingyao sat alone in the Sea of Flowers, lost in thought. Xingchun and the rest were not admiring the flowers, but they were unwilling to stay in the flower room. Moreover, Mild Fragrance had said that walking in the Sea of Flowers would be helpful for cultivation. Zichun looked at everyone. After recovering from their injuries, everyone was in good condition. Xingchun saw him and nodded at him from afar. Lin Shui was waving at him. Zichun walked in another direction. At this moment, he had many doubts in his heart that needed answers. Mild Fragrance came to Zichun's side and said, I know you have a lot of questions. You can ask them slowly. I have a lot of time, so there's no hurry. Zichun opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. He had many questions before. Is this the Paradise Kingdom? Zichun asked in the end. You can say so. Zichun was puzzled by Mild Fragrance's ambiguous answer. In the past, this was indeed the Paradise Kingdom. However, with the passage of countless years, the kingdom has changed greatly. Although it still has the foundation of the Paradise Kingdom, its area has expanded by a lot, and it has changed its name. Mild Fragrance paused for a moment and said, Now, this place is called the Gashan Empire. The place you are now in is a region of the empire called the Guduin region. Guduin is the king of this place. Those silver wolves are his subordinates. Zichen asked, if the silver wolves are controlled by someone, why did he attack us? Not to you, but to everyone who came here. As for the reason, I don't know the details. Mild Fragrance hesitated for a moment before saying, however, I heard that the greatest wish of those kings is to be able to leave this place. His attack on you might have something to do with this. What is Gaduin's realm? Zichen asked again. Mild Fragrance said, what is his realm? He's now a king, which is equivalent to the king of the Paradise Kingdom. Is it the Array realm? Zichen asked again and explained the realm that everyone agreed on. That's an interesting way to put it. Mild Fragrance smiled and said, however, he's neither in the light realm nor the Array realm. He's in an even more powerful realm. You probably haven't seen him yet. What about you? I'm the leader. I don't have any realm. Who's stronger between you and Guduin? We haven't fought. This is my territory. I rarely go out, and Guduin almost never comes out. So, it's impossible for us to fight. Then, can you tell me about your realm? What level of power will change when it reaches? In your words, the limit of the light realm is 49 strands of power. Exceeding 49 strands will condense into a light array. At that time, your combat strength will greatly increase. Mild Fragrance stretched out her hand and pointed forward. Countless pollen gathered in front of her and turned into a silver wolf. At this moment, the silver wolf's body was flowing with power. First, it increased from 1 strand to 40, and it didn't stop there. After the 49th strand, it suddenly stopped increasing. Mild Fragrance explained, this is a hurdle. It'll be a little difficult to cross it. Then, she pointed her finger again. The illusory silver wolf in front of her had an additional strand of power. After this strand of light appeared, a light array condensed under the silver wolf's feet. It was just like the Deer King. Then, the strands of power increased again and stopped at 99 strands. This is also a hurdle, and it's a big one. The 100th strand of power appeared on the silver wolf's body. After this strand of power appeared, all the light circulating around the silver wolf's body disappeared. The light array under its feet seemed to become a real existence and began to operate. At this step, the light array is completed and can operate on its own. Chapter 46:50. The light array spun under the silver wolf's feet in the air. A steady stream of power gathered towards the silver wolf's body as if it was inexhaustible. The 100 rays of power on its body had all disappeared, leaving only the light array under its feet. What's next? Zichen didn't expect the realm to evolve like this. It's already very difficult to reach this step. It'll be even more difficult to go further. Light Fragrance explained, as for what's in the future, you'll have to figure it out yourself. Looking at Zichen's confused expression, Light Fragrance said, you're outsiders and are different from us. Our path may not be suitable for you. Zichen nodded to show that he understood. Light Fragrance turned around and looked into the distance where Su Mingyao was. Don't say I didn't warn you. If you have nothing to do, go out and explore. Maybe you'll find a lot of good things. The friendliness of this world to outsiders is beyond imagination. Compared to other places, we believe in fate more. As long as fate arrives, the opportunity will come. It wasn't the first time Zichen heard the word fate. Meiji said the same thing. Could this world be about fate? Fate is very mysterious. Look, she's fated to be here. Light Fragrance waved her hand gently. In front of Su Mingyao, hundreds of flowers swayed and parted to the side. A blue and white flower appeared in the air and bloomed in front of Su Mengyao's eyes. Su Mengyao's eyes lit up and her heart was suddenly enlightened. It was as if the thing she had been waiting for finally appeared in front of her. She reached out to touch it. The next moment, the blue and white flower cut off its roots and disappeared. It then appeared in Su Mengyao's hand. It's a phantom spirit, something that appeared naturally. It hasn't bloomed for many years. But after you came in, it suddenly bloomed. For the past few days, Su Mingyao sat there every day and accelerated its growth. Now, it can't wait any longer. This is fate. At this moment, Su Mingyao turned around. Her beautiful face was filled with a joyful smile. "Sister, what's that?" Shuelin whispered. Everyone else also noticed the abnormality and looked at Su Mingyao. The next moment, Su Mingyao appeared next to Shuelin. She gently shook the blue and white flower in her hand and smiled. Then, Su Mingyao appeared beside Wang Xian, and in front of Yu. Zichun stood in the distance and watched. His expression changed little by little because Su Mingyao, who had turned around to look at him first, was still there. Several Su Mingyaos around him were also present. Is it an illusion? Suddenly, Zichun's vision blurred. Su Mingyao was right in front of him, winking at him playfully. In Zichun's perception, the Su Mingyao in front of him was the real one, so the others should be fake. Just as Zichun was about to give her a hug, Su Mingyao disappeared, and so did the others. Only the one who had turned around was standing there. It turned out that she hadn't moved at all from the beginning to the end. This? Zichun used surprise to cover up his awkwardness. This is fate. Pale fragrance covered her mouth and smiled. Wang Xian, and the others gathered around and chattered excitedly. Is that a weapon? Zichun asked. Kind of, but it's not refined. It's natural, Pale fragrance said. Zichun's expression changed slightly. You know about weapons? No one had used refined weapons in this world, or rather, there were no refined weapons in this world. Gaduin has a weapon that was passed down a long time ago. It's said to be very powerful. Pale fragrance said, in addition, there are many strange things in this world that can be used to assist, such as the phantom you saw before. But the phantom is more compatible with Su Mingyao than I thought, so fate is very important. Zichun nodded. He believed in fate. Because of fate, he had been saved twice since he came here. In a cave, Chung Ho was lying there, snoring from time to time. "Io, my lord, why are you still asleep?" A shrill voice rang out as a huge flame rat ran in. The snoring stopped. Chung Ho, who was woken up, opened his eyes and looked at the other party with dissatisfaction. "My lord, didn't I ask you to leave? Why are you still sleeping here?" The flame rat came up to him and scratched his chin. "It's so comfortable here. Why should I leave?" Chung Ho said, "My lord, this is just a rat hole. It's damp and dark. It's really not suitable for a noble lord like you." The flame rat pleaded, "My lord, I think you should leave. You can't be so self-deprecating. Although this is a rat hole, it can at least shelter you from the wind and rain. I've decided to stay here." When the flame rat heard this, he was almost scared to tears. "Master, you can't joke about this. The Gu Shan people are looking for you all over the world. It won't be long before they find this place. When that time comes, not only will you die, but I will also die with you. I'm still young and have a long life ahead of me. I don't want to die. They're just Gashan people. I can kill them with one punch. Don't worry." Chung Ho tried to calm the flame rat. Aside from being powerful, the Gashan people have great numbers. It's impossible to kill them all. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become the guards of all the kings. "My lord, I beg you, please leave. I really don't want to die." The flame rat kept bowing to Chung Ho. Chung Ho was unmoved. Clearly, he was not planning to leave. The flame rat rolled his eyes. "Why don't you go to Green Summit Mountain 100 miles away? Compared to here, it's much safer there. What's the point of being safe? I didn't even go when Gaduin invited me. Why would I go to Green Summit Mountain? In terms of safety, where is it safer than Gaduin Castle?" Chung Ho glanced at the flame rat, his face full of disdain. The flame rat grew anxious. "My lord, that's King Gaduin. You didn't even go when he invited you. Why are you staying here? Stop joking around with me. Do you want to die?" Chung Ho's tone turned cold. "This is too much of a bully. You didn't even go when King Gaduin invited you. Instead, you came to my place." The flame rat shrank back and muttered, "So what if I'm bullying you? I'm being bullied outside every day. Have I ever complained? So what if I come here to bully you? You allow others to bully me, but I can't bully you?" The flame rat's heart trembled again. There were people who could bully this lord. Then how terrifying was the outside world? Why would those kings go to such a terrifying world? Chung Ho looked at the flame rat. "Did you find out what I asked you to find out?" Chapter 46:51. Although it was a rat hole, It was spacious and not humid at all. Chung Ho sat up and squinted his eyes at the flame rat. The flame rat felt a chill down its spine. You're the Rat King with countless soldiers under your command. You can't even find a single person? Chung Ho clenched his fist. You don't know what to do? Why? Do you think I'm easy to talk to? Sir, although I'm the Rat King, I'm not the only Rat King here. We all have our own territories. This time, the Gaduan King gave the order to kill all intruders. Maybe that's already that. The flame rat became more careful as it spoke. You're such a chatterbox. Don't worry. Even if you die, Zichun won't die. Chung Ho said, you rats are born to like digging holes. Being in a group is your biggest advantage. Don't think that I don't know that you kings can communicate with each other. So, hurry up and inform the other rats. I must find Zichun. Chung Ho said, Sir, I don't have that ability. The flame rat said bitterly and helplessly, I don't have that ability. Suddenly, the flame rat's eyes turned. Sir, there's movement outside. I'll go and check it out. Chung Ho looked outside. The flame rat had already run out. When it was outside, it saw the Gashan people. These Gashan people were half the height of a human. They did not form a group and walked forward in a disorderly manner. When they were moving forward, they were checking their surroundings. They must have followed some traces. Sir, I report. The flame rat immediately screamed. I report, there's a human here. The Gashan people raised their heads and looked at the Rat King standing upright. Then, they walked over. In the hole, Chung Ho smiled coldly and walked out. Although these Gashan people looked like humans, they were not real humans. They were shouting and waving their hands. They were still beastly. The next moment, they raised their weapons and rushed toward Chung Ho. Dozens of power lights appeared on their bodies, and a light formation appeared under their feet. A powerful aura was surging. Chung Ho smiled coldly and walked forward. There was no light flowing around his body. He simply threw out a punch. As punch after punch landed, the Gashan people who were comparable to the Deer King and the Wolf King were sent flying one by one. Half of them were beaten to death. The flame rat lay in the distance and watched. At that moment, its head was buried deep in the ground. From the beginning to the end, the human had not used any power. He had only used his pure physical body to defeat the Grahan. One had to know that those were the Gashan people. Every one of them was equivalent to a king in the outside world. Just how strong was this human? After the Grishan people fell to the ground, fear appeared in their eyes. Those who were lucky enough to survive immediately wanted to escape. A cold light flashed in Chung Ho's eyes, and he immediately charged forward. He still did not use the power of his realm. After a few punches, all of the Grashmen fell to the ground and died. Not a single one was left alive. Looking at the corpses, Chung Ho said coldly, None of you should exist in this world. My lord's combat power is unparalleled. This is really an eye-opener for me. Don't worry, my lord. I'll do my best to help you find Zichun. The flame rat ran over and said with a fawning look on its face, You're really flexible. However, you better hurry up. My patience is limited. Chung Ho said indifferently, Don't worry, my lord. I'll go look for him now. The flame rat ran a few steps and then turned around. My lord, let me remind you. Other than the Grashman's combat power, they have a large number of people and are very difficult to deal with. If you kill these people today, the next time you kill them, the number will double. Moreover, there are chief-level existences among the Grashmen. Above the chief-level existences are the Grahan devils. So, my lord, you should run away quickly. If there's any news about Zichun, I'll take the initiative to look for you. Run? Chung Ho sneered. I have a lot of skills, but I don't know how to run. After half a day, the injured Chung Ho ran away. Zichun and the rest were still staying in the Sea of Flowers. He would walk in the Sea of Flowers every day to try his luck and also to cultivate. The pollen in the Sea of Flowers was beneficial to cultivation. It was comparable to the crystals outside. As the last person in the team who had not awakened his ability, Zichun felt a lot of pressure. He could not drag everyone down. The monk's injuries were gradually recovering. On this day, he walked out of the flower house. His expression had returned to normal. He walked in the Sea of Flowers without saying a word. Is it very troublesome? Zichun came in front of the monk. The monk nodded. He naturally knew what Zichun was talking about. There's no way to control it. So, I'm not going to tell you that the attributes of power are not important. The main thing is that it depends on who has it. Zichun said, there must be a reason for the appearance of power. Think of a way to overcome it. Even evil thoughts can be used as a means to increase one's power. The last time the monk fought the Wolf King, who was in the formation realm, with the strength of the light realm, their strength was less than half, but they were evenly matched. This showed how strong evil thoughts were. The monk said gloomily, that's not what I care about. Why is it not good thoughts? Am I not a kind-hearted monk? Zichun patted the monk's shoulder and said earnestly, you know what kind of person you are. You don't have to say it out loud. We all know. Zichun walked away, leaving the monk alone to ponder. He always felt that Zichun was scolding him. Everyone's injuries had recovered, and many of them had made progress in their cultivation. It seemed that it was time to leave. Light Fragrance did not have any malicious intentions. During the journey, she told Zichun a lot of secrets about this place. Actually, you don't have to go to the depths of this place. That is the area controlled by Gaduin. Apart from controlling thousands of beasts, he also has countless grim people as his subordinates. He is very repulsed by outsiders like you. Instead of going to the depths of this place and risking your life, it is better to stay in the periphery and try your luck. For example, if you see a large forest, you can go for a walk. If you see an unclimbable mountain, you can also try to climb it. Light Fragrance's words were very clear, and Zichun naturally understood. This sea of flowers seemed to have no end. However, when Zichun and the others escaped, they did not see such a large sea of flowers. Obviously, this was Light Fragrance's unique space. When they walked out of the sea of flowers and looked back, the area of the sea of flowers was only 1,000 feet wide. Light Fragrance did not appear. The surrounding flowers swayed as if they were sending everyone off. Light Fragrance said that the silver wolves had left, and their following journey was safe. However, it was also relatively safe. Perhaps the silver wolves would come back. The sky was blue, and there were occasionally a few white clouds floating in the sky. Zhang Haoyan poked his head out from the ground and said, it is rare to see people around here. I don't know if they are dead or have escaped. Also, there are traces of silver wolves more than 10 miles away. There are 13 of them. I don't see the Wolf King yet. They should be in charge of surveillance. Chapter 46:52. Zichun wanted to attack the silver wolves, not only for revenge, but also for the crystals in their bodies. The silver wolves were very strong, and the quality of their crystals was also very high. Last time, when Zhang Haoyan picked up the crystal, everyone had refined it. The effect was very good, and their cultivation had improved a lot. After leaving the Sea of Flowers, Xing Chun came to Zichun's side and whispered, don't you think it's strange? In such a big sea of flowers, there's only one person, Mild Fragrance? Zichun glanced at Xing Chun, but didn't say anything, because he didn't know how to answer. There were many idle people in the world. Wasn't it normal to be alone? She's not human. At this moment, Su Mingyao's voice sounded. Everyone looked at Su Mingyao with a surprised expression. Mild Fragrance wasn't human? That's just her appearance. In fact, she's not human. Or rather, it's more appropriate to call her it. The moment Su Mingyao obtained the phantom, she saw Mild Fragrance's identity. At that time, Mild Fragrance was also very surprised. Previously, no one asked, so she didn't say anything. Everyone was very curious. They asked Mild Fragrance's true form, but Su Mingyao didn't say anything. Under Zhang Haoyan's lead, everyone came to the place where the silver wolves were. There were a total of 12 of them. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Almost without Zichun's order, everyone rushed forward. The last time they met, it wasn't because they were weak, but because there were too many silver wolves. If both sides had the same number, the silver wolves would have died. Zichun punched. He still hadn't awakened his ability, but because he had refined 2 silver wolf crystals, his body had become much stronger. Along with the punch, the silver wolf was sent flying and fell to the ground. After being hit in the head, the silver wolf struggled a few times before falling to the ground and dying. At this moment, Everyone who had swarmed forward had also ended their battles one after another. Next, they didn't leave, but stayed to deal with the silver wolf's corpse. Now that they didn't have any weapons, the silver wolf's bones were very sturdy and suitable for use. At the same time, the silver wolf's meat could be used to satisfy their hunger. Zhang Haoyan went further away to investigate, looking for the next prey. If there were similar small groups of silver wolves, that would be the best. Up until now, they still hadn't seen a single human. They didn't know if they were all dead or had escaped. Instead, they found quite a few small beasts, but Zichun didn't care about them. This was because the crystals obtained from killing them were no longer of much use to them. The power of the crystal entered his body and became a part of his own power. Zichun still did not obtain any abilities. If he encountered a bottleneck, Zichun wouldn't mind learning an ability on the spot. Unfortunately, there was no bottleneck. He could continue to grow, but the ability would not appear for a long time. This made Zichun feel conflicted. Pei Wenyao was helping everyone choose some suitable bone soldiers. The quality of the silver wolf bones was indeed much better than the previous ones. Zichun finished refining his first crystal. His speed was faster than the others, but unfortunately, he didn't awaken any abilities. In the words of the monk, one could eat but not dry. Zhang Haoyan, who went out to investigate, came back. There are no silver wolves nearby. Where are we going now? Zichun glanced to the right and said, let's wait here first. We'll hone the wolf bones first. Zichun was actually waiting for more silver wolves to arrive. The last time they faced a pack of wolves, they could only run away. But after the trip to the Sea of Flowers, everyone's cultivation had improved to different degrees. Zichun felt that if they encountered a pack of wolves again, they could still fight. In addition, there was another reason. Only the crystal inside the silver wolf could help them improve their strength quickly. Zichun intended to hone the wolf bones here to make the weapon in his hand sharper. Dan Xiang said that there were very few weapons in this world. They were all passed down from the past. But there were many things that could be used to make weapons in this world. As the king of this place, Gaduin was in charge of this area. In this area, there was a place called Bamboo House. It was said that the bamboo produced there was very hard and could be used to make natural weapons. It didn't need to be condensed, just a little polishing. It was also said that the Gaduin subordinates, the Gashan people, used this kind of bamboo weapon, which was very powerful. Zichun, who was polishing the bone knife in his hand, felt an unusual aura. He stopped what he was doing and turned around. After the last crisis, his perception had become stronger. He had already sensed the appearance of the silver wolf pack. The others were slow to react. They stood up and looked forward. The silver wolf pack had appeared. It was the same opponent as last time, but there was only one wolf king. Seeing the wolf pack again, everyone's eyes immediately turned cold. The opportunity for revenge had come. Under the azure sky, a light breeze blew. Countless green grass swayed. The wolf pack approached quickly. The wolf king was still in the crowd, looking down on them. Zichun glanced at the monk. Tyrant nodded his head and walked forward. He walked alone, facing the wolf pack. The wolf king's eyes turned cold. He recognized the monk. He opened his mouth and let out a long howl. The howl echoed in the wilderness. The wolf pack in the distance gradually slowed down. Beast, you're quite smart. Zichun's eyes turned cold. He had guessed the other party's intention. Sure enough, not long after, another wolf pack appeared in his perception. There was a wolf king in the pack. This time, all his enemies had come. 2 wolf packs and 2 wolf kings, one on the left and one on the right, quickly surrounded the monk. When they were about to meet the monk, the silver wolves suddenly scattered. Some of them rushed towards Zichun and the others. Looking at the silver wolves, Xingchun laughed loudly. This time, it's our turn to explode. The devil ape took a step forward, staring at the wolf pack with its red eyes. It's time to settle the score. Light circulated around Black Wind's body. Its strength had reached 30 rays. Yu Ming's eyes stared straight ahead. As a great evil beast of the Saint Spirit realm, he was bullied by a pack of wolves. Naturally, he had to take revenge. As for the other women, they were also prepared to fight for revenge. However, the first one to attack was not them. It was the monk in front. Rays of light circulated. Evil thoughts began to devour the monk's rationality. Dozens of black energies circulated around the monk. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth became violent. A part of it seemed to be attracted and gathered toward the monk. The amount of energy surrounding the monk instantly exceeded 49 and reached 50. A light array appeared under his feet. Array Realm. Chapter 46:53. The monk, who had used the power of evil, was trying to regain control of his consciousness and wake himself up. However, this did not stop him from attacking the two kings, because there were only two kings in his field of vision at this moment. The moment the battle broke out, Su Mingyao, who was among the people behind, walked forward alone. With her delicate body, she faced the pack of wolves. Unlike the last time, there was a blue and white flower in front of her this time, which made her face even more beautiful and moving. Zichun and the others watched quietly as Su Mingyao walked forward alone. The silver wolves spread out and did not attack Su Mingyao alone. Obviously, they did not think it was worth it to deal with one person. At this moment, the flower in front of Su Mingyao emitted a ray of light. All the silver wolves saw Zichun and the others behind them suddenly turn into rays of light and shoot into the sky like shooting stars. At this moment, they all broke free from the control of gravity and flew high into the sky. Almost subconsciously, all the silver wolves looked up. Zichun and the others, who had fallen into the sky, stayed in the air for a short while. Then, their bodies suddenly disappeared. At the place where they disappeared, countless green vines appeared. These vines fell straight down and wrapped around the silver wolves. These vines were very tough, like ropes made of steel. The longer they wrapped around the wolves, the tighter they became. The silver wolves began to struggle with all their might. Some fell to the ground as if the vines were strangling their necks, unable to breathe. This was the sight of the silver wolves. In the eyes of Zichun and the others, Su Mingyao took a few steps forward. She did not do anything. She just glanced at them and those silver wolves stopped. The next moment, the silver wolves seemed to have been hit by some kind of spell. They turned over and fell to the ground. Some even began to twitch and then stopped breathing. They were dead. From the beginning to the end, Su Mingyao had only glanced at them, and it had such an effect. Zhang Haoyan disappeared immediately. The next moment, he appeared beside a silver wolf on the ground. The sharp-boned spear in his hand directly pierced into the silver wolf's head. Zichun was in another direction. After the silver wolves fell to the ground, he made his move. This was a rare opportunity. He swung the bone saber in his hand and cut off the silver wolf's head. The others followed closely behind and started to reap the lives of the silver wolves. Compared to the wretched state they were in last time, they were much more relaxed this time. If this continued, all the silver wolves would be killed. Not a single one would survive. The silver wolves fell to the ground, ready to be slaughtered. At this moment, the two silver wolf kings that were attacking the monk in the distance sensed something unusual. One of them let out a long howl. Waves of sound waves spread out, forming ripples that shook the air. Su Mingyao, whose face was already pale, spat out a mouthful of blood. The flower in front of her dimmed and returned to her side. The eyes of the fallen silver wolves regained their clarity, but their minds were blank. The air was filled with the thick smell of blood, which immediately alerted them. At this time, the number of dead silver wolves had already reached 30. The silver wolves that had recovered rushed forward and pounced on the people nearby. At this moment, they used the light of ability, greatly increasing their strength and speed. Fortunately, none of them had reached the Array realm yet. Zhang Haoyan's attacks were even faster. He could usually kill the silver wolves with a single blow. Then, he immediately dove down to avoid the other silver wolves. The bone saber in Zichun's hand was also unusually sharp. It was not as strenuous for him to kill the silver wolves. He retreated as he fought. His expression was calm and steady. He was trying to avoid being injured or reduce the damage caused by the attacks. The 6 silver wolves nearby all charged at Heifeng. Heifeng stood there motionless. Beside him, several hurricanes appeared. These hurricanes engulfed the 6 silver wolves. 5 of them were sent flying by the hurricanes. The remaining one let out a sound in the hurricanes. When the hurricanes dissipated, The silver wolf's body was already covered with wounds. It looked like it had been dismembered. It was exhaling more than it was inhaling. Beside Haifeng, Netherworld was also surrounded by several silver wolves. It did not have Haifeng's wind-summoning technique, but it did not retreat either. Streaks of dim light flickered on its body. In the next moment, it opened its mouth and inhaled at the few silver wolves. A strange force fell on the silver wolves. Inside their bodies, there was an illusory wolf cub that was forcefully dragged out. During this time, the silver wolves struggled. Dozens of streaks of light flickered continuously. It seemed like they were in a tug-of-war with Netherworld. But as Netherworld bit, a strange vibration force spread out. The wolf cub was stunned for a moment. Then, they were swallowed into Netherworld's stomach. These were the souls of the silver wolves. After losing their souls, they also lost their lives. After devouring the souls of the 5 silver wolves in one gulp, the Netherworld immediately retreated. At this moment, its appearance was distorting, and the phantom of a wolf would appear from time to time. It was unknown if it was fighting with the silver wolves for control of its body. Seeing this, one of the silver wolves immediately pounced on Netherworld. At this moment, a streak of sword light appeared and pierced through the silver wolf's head. In Wang Xian-er's hands, the bone sword was comparable to a divine weapon. Lin Shui, Shangguanyu-er, Brilliant, and Ming Yu also displayed their own techniques and attacked the silver wolves. Su Mingyao, who was pale, retreated. She was not needed for the battle for now. Zichun, who had not awakened any abilities but was not weak in combat, looked at the battle in the distance and said, "Zhang Haoyin, go and help Monk." Zhang Haoyin immediately disappeared. Boom! A strong force surged and a ravine appeared on the ground. At the end of the ravine, the Wolf King lay there. The light around its body dimmed slightly. At the beginning of the ravine, Monk stood there with his fists clenched. Evil thoughts lingered around him, like a god that had descended to the world. Another silver Wolf King launched an ambush at Monk from the side. It was like a streak of bright silver light, approaching in an instant. A strong wind swept past, stirring up dust. Monk's hands were pressed against the Wolf King's mouth. Fresh blood flowed through the gaps between his fingers. His gaze was still cold, as if he could not feel any pain under the influence of evil thoughts. When the fresh blood fell into the Wolf King's mouth, it seemed to have stimulated its ferocity. The 98 rays of light around its body became chaotic. Bang! Monk exerted his strength again and threw the Wolf King out. It left a trail of dust on the ground. At this moment, Zhang Haoyin's figure appeared. The bone spear in his hand pierced into the Wolf King's wound. Poof! It went straight into the wound. After this attack, Zhang Haoyin immediately retreated and did not continue to fight. In the meantime, he used another ability. Chapter 46-54. This was the first time Zhang Haoyin used the Insect King's ability. He didn't use it previously because he didn't meet a worthy opponent. After the attack, Zhang Haoyin immediately retreated and disappeared. If he didn't leave now, not only would he have to bear the retaliation of the Wolf King, he would also have to bear the attack of the monk. If the two sides joined forces and fought 3 against 1, it would be troublesome. This was the plan that Zichun had made long ago. He would work with the monk to kill the Wolf King. However, he said that there would only be 1 Wolf King, but he was prepared for 2 to appear at the same time. After that, Zhang Haoyin hid peacefully and didn't try to attack anymore. The Wolf King that he attacked didn't have any abnormalities at first, but as time passed, its speed became slower and slower. In the end, the monk seized the opportunity and chopped its neck with his palm, breaking its neck instantly. Although its neck was broken, the Wolf King didn't die. It was still struggling, but the Insect King's poison finally took effect and caused the Wolf King to fall to the ground. With 1 Wolf King dead, the other Wolf King saw that the situation wasn't good and let out a long howl. The silver wolves in the distance immediately retreated, wanting to protect the Wolf King as it retreated. A strong wind whistled past, and the monk flashed in front of the Wolf King and punched. The Wolf King was sent flying. Just as it was sent flying, the hidden Zhang Haoyin appeared again. He predicted the Wolf King's path in advance. With a peewed sound, The Wolf King's wound was attacked again. When its body fell to the ground, Zhang Haoyan's figure had already disappeared. The Wolf King staggered back, no longer having the will to fight. The monk who had lost his mind quickly chased after it and attacked continuously. In the distance, Ziqian gestured for everyone to slow down and let the silver wolves reach the monk. As expected, when the silver wolves arrived, the second Wolf King was already killed by the monk. The monk turned his head and looked at the approaching wolves. There was only killing intent in his eyes. At this moment, he had already lost his mind. There was fear in the eyes of the wolves, but more of it was anger. They roared and charged forward, biting the monk. Boom! The evil intent black chi around the monk exploded, forming a powerful shockwave that sent the nearby silver wolves flying. The silver wolves that landed on the ground finally felt fear and started to escape. Their last bit of courage was gone. The monk chased after them, but the silver wolves scattered, and the monk couldn't kill all of them. Seeing this, Ziqian gestured for everyone to pursue the silver wolf. This battle could be considered a complete victory. The crowd chased after him one after another, but they deliberately avoided the monk's location. Only Ziqian and Su Mingyao were left in the field. "Monk!" Ziqian shouted. The monk heard the noise and turned around. His attention was attracted by Ziqian. Ziqian said, "The battle is over. You can come back now." Tyrant gave up on the silver wolf and walked towards Ziqian. His pace was not fast, and as he moved forward, there were 50 streams of black chi circulating around his body. Not only did he not restrain his power, but he was also condensing it. Just as he was about to reach Ziqian, his aura became even more tyrannical. The 51st force appeared. When Ziqian saw this, he was a little surprised. "You can break through like this? It seems that you have to refine less crystals in the future so as to prevent your realm from rising too quickly." He waved at the monk and shouted, "Monk, wake up quickly!" Tyrant suddenly stopped, and the coldness in his black eyes became even more intense. The sand on the ground splashed, and a deep footprint appeared. Tyrant was like a black meteorite, charging towards Ziqian. At this moment, his aura was completely restrained. Obviously, he was going to use his strongest attack on Ziqian. Suddenly, Ziqian disappeared from his sight. Tyrant lost his target, and there was a touch of astonishment in his cold eyes. His power was surging, but there was nowhere to release it. After losing his target, he saw Su Mingyao in another direction, so he threw a punch without hesitation. Bang! This punch hit Su Mingyao, breaking her body into pieces like porcelain. The enemy was eliminated, and Tyrant, who had lost his target, was at a loss. At this moment, there was nothing in his sight, and the surroundings were empty. The others were gone, and so was the silver wolf. Even the corpse from before was gone. He did not understand what was going on. Suddenly, he felt danger coming from behind him. He turned around abruptly and vaguely saw a silhouette disappear. He mobilized all the power in his body and guarded his surroundings. The next moment, he immediately turned around and threw a punch. He seemed to have hit something, but it also seemed like an illusion. Tyrant did not know what was going on. At this moment, a blooming flower suddenly appeared in front of him, and in the middle of the flower, there was a human face. It was the existence that had provoked him earlier. Tyrant did not know why, but he felt that the other party was very detestable, so he threw a punch without hesitation. In an instant, the human face shattered. The moment the human face shattered, there was a bang behind Tyrant. The next moment, Tyrant's vision turned black, and he fell to the ground. Everything returned to normal. Ziqian stood behind Tyrant, and Su Mingyao stood on the other side. Her aura was very weak. Rubbing his chest, Ziqian said unhappily, "You're really ruthless." Previously, he was hit by a punch. If his body was not strong enough and he dodged in time, he would have been killed by Tyrant's punch. Zhang Haoyan appeared beside Tyrant, and he glanced at him. "Is this okay?" Sensing the power of evil gradually dissipating from Tyrant's body, Ziqian said, "It should be fine. Let's take these trophies and the Wolf King's corpse first. The commotion earlier was too big, so we can't stay here any longer." Ziqian looked into the distance and said, "Get everyone to come back." Soon, everyone returned one by one, and they also brought back their trophies. This time, with Su Mingyao and Tyrant, the two major killing forces, they had won a great victory. Finally, when they were counting the trophies, Tyrant woke up faintly. He still felt pain at the back of his neck. He did not ask what was going on, and he did not even try to guess. Zichen also did not intend to answer him. It was better to have less conversation about this because no one knew if the evil spirit would remember the conversation and come up with a countermeasure. "How's the harvest?" Tyrant asked. "We got a total of 113 crystals from the Silver Wolves and 2 crystals from the Silver Wolf King." Pei Wanyao counted the numbers. During the battle, his combat strength was almost negligible. However, he took advantage of the fact that the Silver Wolves were under Su Mengyao's illusion and killed 2 of them in the early stage. He was now mainly responsible for everyone's logistics work, and he was willing to work hard without complaint. Tyrant nodded and said, "Not bad." Zichun said, "Zhang Haoyin and Su Mingyao will each have 1 crystal from the Silver Wolves, and we'll divide the rest equally." No one had any objections, including Tyrant. Chapter 46-55. There was no problem with Zichen's allocation. The strongest person in the team was Monk. However, Monk could not be too strong, or he would lose control. Next up were Su Mingyao and Zhang Haoyin. Su Mingyao was of great help to everyone after she obtained her phantom. Otherwise, Zichun would not dare to bring everyone to kill the Silver Wolves. Zhang Haoyin was good at hiding and assassination. He was most suitable for gathering information. His killing ability was also very strong. He could even work together with the monk to kill an existence like the Wolf King. In fact, Zichun was also very suitable, because once he refined the Wolf King's crystal and awakened his ability, the entire team's combat power would increase by another level. After all, although Zichen had not awakened his ability, he could still kill the Silver Wolves one-on-one. Unfortunately, Zichen did not have confidence in himself and chose the safest method. "I don't want it," Su Mingyao said. "You refine it?" Zichen said, "It's hard to predict life and death here. So we have to choose the safest method and increase our strength as soon as possible. It would be best if we could reach the formation realm." Everyone, including Pei Wanyao, finished distributing the Silver Wolf crystal. The majority was given to Zichun, who had not awakened his ability. Zichun did not refuse. "Where are we going now?" Zhang Haoyin asked after putting away the crystal. "That direction." Zichun glanced to the side. That was the west. When Dan Xiang was chatting with him, she inadvertently looked in that direction. She seemed to be giving directions. Everyone walked towards the west. During this time, they did not try to go deeper. Pale Fragrance had also said that there were many opportunities outside. Guduin sat on a chair in the middle of the castle hall. Behind him, there were beautiful maids waving wide palm leaf fans. A fox stood upright and reported what had happened recently. From big to small, the fox said respectfully, "We have communicated with several powerful humans, but they are not willing to cooperate with us. If they don't cooperate, then kill them." Guduin King said without a care, "We have already arranged to begin the encirclement. Some of them have escaped to the territory of the spirit demons." Fox said awkwardly, "Those spirit demons are very troublesome. I'm afraid the Gushan people won't be able to take advantage of them. Go and tell them to quickly hand over the person. Otherwise, don't blame me for personally coming." Guduin King gave a cold snort, ignoring them all these years, allowing these spiritual monsters to grow. It seems that they have forgotten who is the master of this place. "What else is there?" Fox said, "According to the king's orders, we've cleaned up those humans. Some of them are already dead, and some of them have escaped to the periphery. Should we continue to pursue them? Let's slow down first. If we kill everyone, our plan won't work. Those who are still alive should have some skills. Let them live for a while, and then act according to the plan." Guduin King said after thinking for a while, "There's another piece of news. The wolf leader just sent news that 2 of its subordinates were killed." "Oh, 2 subordinates. This is interesting." Guduin King's lips curled into a smile. In the area ruled by Guduin King, there was only one wolf leader. There were countless Gu Shan silver wolves, but those who could be recognized as subordinates by the wolf leader were the kings of small groups. The wolf leader reported that it was done by the encirclement humans. Last time, They were lucky enough to escape into the sea of flowers. As a result, they became very strong after coming out. Hearing the fox's words, Gaduin King's eyes had a touch of killing intent. It must be that bitch Lavender. Last time, I gave her face but she didn't want it. This time, she dared to ruin my plans. It seems that there's no need to keep her alive. Feeling the king's killing intent, Fox continued to submissively say, the wolf leader also said that there were several women among those humans. Oh, that's interesting. In that case, send a few Gushan people to take a look. If they can be used, let's try it out on them first. Yes, King. After all the reports were finished, Fox turned and left to deal with these matters. Fox was equivalent to the steward of this castle. He had great authority, so after leaving, he arranged for 3 Gushan people to go out. Zichun and the others walked all the way to the west. They were not in a hurry, so when they were moving forward, they would refine the crystals and strive to continue to improve their strength. During this time, the silver wolves did not chase after them again. After all, they did not kill all of them last time. They should be looking for reinforcements. This made Zichun's plan to improve while walking fell through. Fortunately, the crystals he obtained last time could still be refined for some time. Everyone walked on a tall grassland. The wind rustled as it blew. The footsteps of the Gushan people were covered by the wind until they appeared in Zichun's perception. Zichun was slightly stunned. Human? When the others saw Zichun stop whispering, they were a little puzzled. Zichun looked ahead. The grass was undulating, and there was a very faint green light in his field of vision. It was incompatible with the grass. It was a bamboo stick. What's that? The others also noticed it, but they did not see the person. The Gushan people kept moving forward and finally appeared in everyone's field of vision. Looking at the ugly but human-like Gushan people, they were all startled. Is this the human of this world? This was the first time they saw another human, so they were more or less happy. After this ugly human appeared, his eyes were fixed on Su Mingyao and the other girls. There was a strange light in his eyes, and there was saliva dripping from the corner of his mouth. No, he's a Gushan person, Zichun suddenly exclaimed. He remembered what Danxiang said before. Although the Gushan people looked like humans, they were not real humans. They were the subordinates of the Gaduin king. They were very strong and cruel. At the same time, Danxiang told them that once they found a Gushan person, they should either run away or kill them. If they could not escape or kill them, they should immediately kill their female companions. Remember, kill your female companions first and then kill yourself. Xianair, retreat quickly, Zichun shouted. At the same time, he rushed forward. Girls, retreat. Everyone else, get ready for battle. Zhang Haoyan went into hiding. Tyrant walked forward. He was ready to mobilize his evil thoughts at any time. Zichun was the first to rush forward. He punched towards the Gushan person. The wind whistled. Even if he did not awaken his ability, this punch was still very terrifying. A trace of coldness flashed in the Gushan person's eyes. He also punched out. 99 rays of light flowed out from his body. A light array appeared under his feet. It was the formation realm. It was the same realm as the Wolf King. Bang! With a huge tremor, a ripple spread out in all directions. The nearby grass was all cut off and blown away by the strong wind, falling into the distance. Zichun's body slid backward, leaving 2 marks on the ground. The arm that he used to punch dropped down. His arm was shattered. Was this the power of the formation realm? Before Zichun could recover from his shock, a cry came from behind. The Gushan person had already jumped above his head. The Gushan person raised the bamboo stick in his hand and swung it down. What a fast speed! Chapter 46:56. The bamboo stick in the hand of the hillman released rays of light. This was a weapon from the bamboo house, which was exclusive to the hillman. It seemed that Zichun could not avoid this attack. At this moment, the hillman saw the human disappear from his sight. A hint of confusion appeared in his eyes, but he did not retract his attack. He was still attacking. At a close distance, his bamboo stick hit the ground. With a loud bang, the airwaves rolled. A huge crack appeared under the hillman's feet. At the end of the crack, Zichun's face was pale. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. Not far away, Su Mingyao also coughed out blood. The blue and white flower flew back in front of her. In just a short attack, the illusion was broken and Zichun was seriously injured. The monk shouted and rushed forward. During this time, he also signaled the others to retreat so that they would not be injured by accident. 53 rays of light appeared around him. The light formation extended from his feet. The monk, who was covered in black energy, faced the hillman. He blocked the hillman's stick. Then, he punched the hillman's ugly face, causing the hillman to lean back a few steps. Then, the monk closed in and punched the same spot several times, trying to maximize the damage. When the hillman was retreating, the light around him became unstable. Suddenly, he raised the bamboo stick in his hand. The monk's body was lifted up. The hillman jumped up and kicked the monk's chest. With a bang, the monk flew backward, drawing a line of blood in the air. After landing, the black light on the monk's body disappeared. The evil thoughts were forcefully dispersed. The monk tried to activate the evil thoughts, but he kept coughing out blood. At this moment, Zhang Haoyan's figure suddenly appeared. The moment the hillman kicked the monk and landed on the ground, Zhang Haoyan launched an attack. The timing was still accurate. Puff! The bone spur pierced the hillman's eyes. The hillman exploded in pain. The powerful force sent Zhang Haoyan flying. He landed on the ground and spat out blood. The bone spur was still in the hillman's eyes. The hillman covered his eyes in pain and let out a strange cry. Blood flowed out from the gaps between his fingers. Die! The devil ape leaped forward and swung its bone knife at the other's neck. However, it only left a small wound. Wang Xian'er, who should have retreated, suddenly closed in and stabbed her sword into the other party's chest. Even though the sword had pierced through his skin, the wound wasn't deep. The others approached and attacked the Grahan. The long sticks in the hands of the Grahan people danced in the air. Once they hit someone, they would be severely injured. Retreat quickly, Zichun shouted. With his right hand broken, he rushed forward with the saber in his left hand and cut into the monster ape's wound. The bone knife was stuck in the neck of the Gashan man. The bamboo stick in the Grashan's hand also fell on Zichun's chest. With a bang, the sound of bones breaking rang out. Zichun, who had fallen to the ground, was already motionless. Bastard! Zhang Haoyan staggered to his feet and disappeared again. In the next moment, he appeared in front of the Grashman. He reached out and patted the bone sword left behind by Zichun. The power of poison entered the Grashman's body through the bone sword. Once again, Zhang Haoyan was sent flying by the powerful force. This Grahan was the same as the two wolf kings they encountered last time. They were both in the formation realm. Even the light of strength was the same. However, the difference in strength between the two parties was huge. Last time, not only did they easily kill the two wolf kings, they also killed a group of silver wolves. However, this time, it was very difficult to deal with one Grahan even when everyone in the team worked together. Yuming didn't manage to devour the soul of the Grahan. Under the attack of the Grahan, his head was sent flying. The power of Haifeng didn't manage to cut open the Grashan's body. However, it pushed Zichun's bone sword a little deeper. Lin Shui, Brilliant, and the rest were sent flying. Pei Wenyao had already fainted before this. In this battle, everyone fought extremely bitterly. Fortunately, the poison also worked. The Grashan's speed was slowed down. Tyrant activated the power of evil again and ran directly toward the Grahan. He quickly arrived in front of the Grahan. After taking another hit from the Grahan, he channeled all the power in his body into the bone sword that was deeply cut into the Grashan's neck. The bone sword successfully pierced through the Grashan's neck. A human head flew high into the air. The powerful force that shook the surroundings disappeared. Countless dancing weeds fell down. Without its head, the Grahan was finally dead. As for this team, everyone was seriously injured. It could be said to be a Pyrrhic victory. The gravel was brought up by the strong wind and kept slapping Zichun's face. The unconscious Zichun woke up and saw the headless corpse falling down. He forced himself to be alert and said, "Retreat quickly." Now that everyone was seriously injured, not to mention another Grahan, even if a few silver wolves came, they wouldn't be able to deal with them. Xing Qian quickly stepped forward and took out the bone sword to cut open the Grashan's body. However, he was surprised to find that there was no crystal in the Gratian's body. He was slightly stunned and said, "There's no crystal. Forget it. Let's leave this place first," Zichun said again. He went forward and helped Tyrant up. Or rather, the two of them were supporting each other. Tyrant's evil thoughts were dispelled again. He was still normal now. It's really tragic. How many years has it been since I've been so miserable? What kind of world is this? Tyrant mumbled weakly. Xingchen went to help Zhang Haoyan up. Not far away, the devil ape picked up the bamboo stick. The group began to move west. This time, it was impossible for them to speed up even if they wanted to. Not long after they left, two more Grahan came. They looked at the messy battlefield and then looked at the dead bodies of their companions. They made strange sounds. They should be communicating with each other. Then, they spread out and looked around for something. Soon, one of them called out to the other. It turned out that they had found the bloodstains on the ground. Then, the two Grahan followed the bloodstains on the ground and chased after Zichun and the others. Zichun and the others gradually increased their speed. Because everyone had lost their ability to fight, they could no longer encounter any danger. Soon, they saw a large forest in front of them. Zichun glanced at Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao's illusion was instantly broken, and she suffered a lot of backlash. At the moment, she was very weak, and she nodded slightly at Zichun. Zichun said, "Enter the forest immediately." The forest was very dense. They might be able to get rid of the potential danger, but there might also be a greater danger. However, at the moment, they could only take a gamble. Moreover, with Su Mingyao's nod, their chances of survival should be greater than the danger. Just as they entered the forest, they saw that the original trees had branches drooping down continuously, as if spirit snakes were slithering around. Chapter 46-57. The forest was quiet. There were no birds, beasts, or insects. It was so quiet that it was deadly silent. Similarly, they did not encounter any danger here. The journey was not short, and everyone's condition was getting worse. Zichun could only ask everyone to stop and heal first. If they continued like this, they would not be able to hold on before the enemy arrived. He and Xingchen were in charge of guarding, and the others immediately took out the crystals to recover. Suddenly, a human face appeared on a big tree not far away. The face looked at the group of people in front of it. Zichun seemed to feel something. He turned his head, but he did not see anything. The face had disappeared and did not appear again. Time passed, and everything was normal. The big movement before did not attract the silver wolves, and no grid hillmen came. Zichun and Xingchen still did not let down their guard. Everyone's injuries were gradually recovering. Zhang Haoyan opened his eyes and looked at the two of them. "You guys recover first." His injuries had not fully recovered, but his condition was much better than before. Zichun shook his head and said, "Don't worry. You should fully recover first." This time, they had paid a great price to fight the grid hillmen. Fortunately, there were no casualties. It was a blessing in disguise. After hesitating, the two grid hillmen outside walked in resolutely. They held different bamboo weapons in their hands and followed the aura. The branches around them began to move, as if countless spiritual snakes were watching the two of them. The aura left by Zichun and the others was still there. The two of them followed them. After walking for a long time, they did not see Zichun and the others. They were sure that they did not go in the wrong direction, but why did they not see anyone? Zhang Haoyan and the others were in charge of monitoring the surroundings. It was Zichun and Xingchen's turn to heal. Zichun was not in a good mood. He still had not awakened his ability, but the enemies were getting stronger and stronger. After coming here, they had encountered danger several times. Every time, it was dangerous. This strange world did not seem dangerous, but he had almost lost his life several times. His invincible talent could not be displayed after coming to this world. Not only did he become the most ordinary one, but he was also the last one. Everyone had awakened their abilities, and some had even awakened more than one ability. Why couldn't he awaken his own ability? At this moment, Zichun's heart was filled with an intense thirst for power. In the Saint Spirit world, after the major forces left, it became quiet. The fiend god still existed, but they no longer invaded. Logically speaking, the main forces of the major forces had all left. This was the best time for them to attack, but they didn't. The god race and the demon race became very quiet. The one in charge of the Holy Thunder clan was Lei Zhang, and he didn't give any instructions. He didn't even plan to recover the lost land. The martial heaven continent was still calm, but the cities grew more and more lively. Everyone knew that the experts of this world had left, but the strongest expert, Zichen, was still here. So they weren't worried. Moreover, Zichen would appear from time to time, which was even more reassuring. Xiao Lina was still the manager of this world, and the entire world was under her management in an orderly manner. In the Zichen Palace, the hall spirit, Su, was in a daze. She didn't need to cultivate, and she wasn't worried about her own strength. As long as the Zichen Palace wasn't destroyed, she wouldn't die. Other than being in a daze, she would be in a daze every day. In the past, she was very conflicted about Zichen's current situation, but in the end, she couldn't be bothered to care about it. If the Saint Zichen back then had really arranged everything, including her own resurrection, then everything would go according to the plan, and she wouldn't need to do anything. At the same time, the most important thing was that she didn't know how to help, so she could only wait for the situation to develop quietly. On this day, she suddenly felt that there was a strange movement in the Zichen Palace, and her expression couldn't help but change. She was the hall spirit of the Zichen Palace, and apart from Zichen, she was the master of the Zichen Palace. In other words, she understood this palace even better than Zichen. Putting aside the saint from back then, just in terms of control over the Zichen Palace, even the current Zichen couldn't compare to her. She came in the direction of the strange movement, and after discovering what it was, her expression changed. She didn't know what was going on, but after thinking about it, she felt that she should do something. As such, she used the spirit core that Zichen had left behind and came to the demon-suppressing sect. Apart from Cheng Ho, the other ancient saints were all here, including the Ice Maiden. The passageway to the other world was still there and hadn't disappeared yet. "Why are you here?" The Ice Maiden looked at the hall spirit. They knew each other. "To find you." This forest was very quiet and safe, and Zichen and the others hadn't encountered any danger yet. This place gave them a very good place to recuperate, and everyone's injuries were gradually recovering. After experiencing a battle where they almost died, everyone's cultivation had improved greatly. The power around Zhang Haoyan's body had already reached 49 strands, and he was only a step away from the formation realm. The others also reached 40 strands one after another. It was impossible to calculate the exact time here, but according to Zichen's estimation, it should have been 6 days since they came to this forest. His broken bones had already healed, and he would occasionally feel waves of pain, but he believed that he would recover soon. Su Mingyao and Xian brought back some fruits from the trees, and they had been eating these fruits to satisfy their hunger for the past few days. No mountain man chased after them, and no silver wolf came here. Most of the crystals on everyone's bodies had been refined, and there weren't many left. There were no other crystals here to replenish, so they were all very idle. Another 2 days passed, and Zichen's injuries had completely recovered. He was the last to recover, and now everyone's crystals were all used up. After discussing, everyone decided to leave this quiet forest to search for new opportunities. However, they didn't take the original path, and instead walked deeper into the forest. They planned to cross this place, as there might be Mountain Man behind them. It was worth mentioning that after killing the Mountain Man with great difficulty, they didn't obtain the corresponding crystals. However, it wasn't that they didn't obtain anything, and the devil ape obtained a bamboo stick. This bamboo stick was extremely sturdy, and its hardness was much higher than the wolf bone. It should be a weapon from the bamboo house. It was now the devil ape's weapon. As they moved forward, it was still very quiet, and they didn't encounter any danger until they saw a big tree. This big tree was extremely thick, and it was almost comparable to the tree of lightning of the Holy Thunder clan. Obviously, this should be an existence similar to the Tree King. Zichen seemed to have guessed the reason why this place was so quiet, and he signaled everyone to stay away from it. At the same time, Zichen bowed in the direction of the Tree King to express his gratitude. Chapter 46:58. Wang Xian's actions shocked everyone. The Tree King was obviously not ordinary. Why would she take the initiative to approach it? Zichen gestured for everyone not to panic. He followed Wang Xian and walked forward slowly. Perhaps this was not a bad thing. Wang Xian came to the front of the Tree King and looked at it carefully. Deep in her heart, she felt a strong calling. Otherwise, she would not be so impulsive to approach it at this moment. The Tree King stood there. Its leaves were green and there was no movement. Xian lifted her head and looked up. Through the gaps between the tree trunk and the leaves, she saw many fruits on the tree. The fruits were sparkling and looked like gems hanging on the tree trunk. However, those fruits were not what she wanted. They were not the source of the calling. She looked at the Tree King again. Zichen stood behind Xian and did not disturb her. The others stood at a distance and were very nervous. Suddenly, Wang Xian moved. She took a few steps forward and came to the front of the Tree King. Then, she stretched out her jade-like palm and placed it on the Tree King's body. This action made everyone's hearts jump to their throats. Wasn't this a great disrespect? Some people looked at Su Mingyao secretly, trying to find some clues from her expression. Su Mingyao was a human and not a god. She could not predict everything. At this moment, they saw Wang Xian using her sword will. Rays of sword aura flowed from her arm. She seemed to want to use her sword will to cut the Tree King's body. Zichen also became nervous. He did not know what Wang Xian was going to do. The sword will started to flow, and there was a faint sound of clanging. In such a quiet place, the sound was exceptionally loud and did not fit in with the surroundings. The trees close to the Tree King began to tremble. One branch after another extended out and swam in all directions. They were like spiritual snakes that were patrolling the area. They formed a circle and gradually shrunk. Zichen's expression changed again and again, but he did not disturb Wang Xian. She was not an impulsive person. There must be a deeper meaning behind her actions. Zichen gestured for everyone to step back immediately so that they would not be in danger. The extended branches intertwined with each other, forming thick, python-like objects that began to approach the two of them. Zichen held his breath and was prepared to forcefully take Wang Xian away at any moment. At this moment, there was a sudden tremor in front of them. At the place where Wang Xian's palm touched, a ray of light shone out. An intense sword intent surged within this light. That bright light made Zichen close his eyes involuntarily. The combined branches stopped, and then the part that looked like the head of a python raised up and looked at the scene in front of it. Amidst the boundless light, an item appeared in Wang Xian's hand. It was a sword of light with an incomparably sharp sword intent. With the light sword in hand, the sword intent power around her became extremely active, and a powerful aura was released from her body. Under this aura, all the pythons began to tremble, as if they could disperse at any time. Su Mingyao turned around, and the aura on her body gradually retracted. The light sword in her hand also returned to its original state. It was a wooden sword, but it seemed to be made of water, and its surface was glowing with a glaze-like azure light. She glanced at the giant pythons and saw that all the giant pythons had dispersed in response, turning back into tree branches and scattering in all directions. These branches quickly retreated. Everything around them returned to its original state. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on their faces. This was the second opportunity that everyone encountered after Su Mingyao, and it was Wang Xian who obtained it. The strength of the team had undoubtedly increased. Indeed, faint fragrance did not lie. There were many opportunities outside. Thank you. Zichen cupped his fists and bowed to the Tree King again to express his gratitude. A man walked out from the front. This is her opportunity, and it's her luck that she obtained it. Little brother, you don't have to be so polite. Zichen thanked him twice in a row. The Tree King could no longer hide and had to show himself. I'm Zichen, and she's Wang Xian. Zichen took the initiative to introduce himself. He had received benefits from the Tree King, so he should at least let him know his name. Tree. This was the Tree King's name. It only had one word. Greetings, Lord Tree. Zichen cupped his fists again. Lord Zichen, you're too modest. Just call me Tree. The tree also cupped his fists in return. His expression was very serious, and he did not seem to be joking. Then I'll take a step back and call you Mr. Tree. The Tree King had the power to suppress him. The other party was deliberately being modest, but he could not ignore it. It's been a long time since a human came here. It's fate that Mr. Zichun could come here. Why don't you stay here for a while? The tree said. Zichun was in a difficult position. It's not safe outside now. Rather than taking risks, it's better to stay here for the time being. The tree gently waved his hand, and fruits fell from the Tree King behind him. These fruits are not weaker than spirit crystals. They should be useful to you. If you stay here, you can take whatever you want. Zichun hurriedly waved his hand and refused. Mr. Tree, no, I don't deserve it. The tree smiled and said, if that's the case, why don't I trouble Mr. Zichun to do me a favor? Just take these fruits as a reward? Oh, what does Mr. Tree need me to do? Zichun asked curiously. The smile on the tree's face disappeared. I hope Mr. Zichun can help me kill Zhu Xian in the bamboo house before you leave. Zhu Xian? Looking at Zichun's puzzled face, the tree explained. He's the owner of the bamboo house. He's now the dog of the Gaduan king. The bamboo stick in your friend's hand was provided by him for the Gashan people. Of course, I don't want you to go now. I want you to kill him before you leave. It's okay if you can't kill him, as long as you try your best. Why me? Zichun asked again. The tree said, because you've thanked me twice, so I have to show myself. But you don't want to accept my gift, and I happen to have this wish, so I hope you can help me. Okay, Zichun nodded. Although I don't know if I can do it, I, Zichun, will do my best. But can I ask, what's the grudge between you two? In order to curry favor with the Gaduan king, he betrayed many of his friends. There was a touch of pain on the tree's face, and I was lucky enough to survive the war. For many years, I've never forgotten those friends who protected me. If it weren't for them, mentioning the sad things of the past again, the tree found it difficult to calm down. After a while, he said, I've made a fool of myself. Chapter 46:59. In the outside world, after the first sweep, those who were lucky enough to survive began to move again after hiding for a period of time. It was unknown if it was because they had gone through life and death situations, but their progress was very fast. The light of power continued to grow, and their realms were also increasing. On a certain day, a mysterious team successfully killed the Deer King in the periphery. Following that, more existences comparable to the Deer King were killed and their crystals were taken away. The Silver Wolves not only attacked Zichun and the others, but also killed many people. As a result, after a new round of battle broke out, the people who were originally running away in a sorry state began to slaughter the Silver Wolves. Groups of Silver Wolves died. The Silver Wolf King was also killed. Under such circumstances, everyone had more crystals to increase their strength, so their realms also advanced by leaps and bounds. Many people successfully reached the Formation Realm, comparable to the former Deer King. Among them, there were also many famous existences. They obtained all kinds of opportunities, which greatly increased their combat strength. It was said that someone found a rootless flame in a mountain range. This flame seemed to have its own intelligence. After the other party obtained it by chance, he slaughtered a group of wolves with his own strength. Another person obtained a strange seed. This seed could instantly turn into a towering tree that could attack. Another person found a spirit vein in a river. After putting it away, it was like a long whip with terrifying power. Similar news like this continued to spread out. The strange world was very big, and there were many opportunities. It was impossible for any one person to occupy all of them. In a field, a group of wolves suffered heavy casualties. The Wolf King, who had lost a leg, was leading dozens of defeated silver wolves and fleeing in a sorry state. A group of people chased behind, holding all kinds of ancient weapons in their hands. They shouted loudly and were very happy. At the back was Emoisian. He was also in a good mood. The last time he encountered the silver wolves, he had almost died. Fortunately, he had escaped disaster in the end. Now, it was time for them to take revenge. The team that was once scattered was once again formed, but the number of people was very serious. Moreover, only the demons were gathered. It was unknown whether Leijing, Hongtian, and the others were alive or dead. After all, at that time, everyone was facing life and death. No one cared about each other. Mo Yin was by his side. Mod, Mo Yin, and Danzwa were all still alive. Is this how the world is? It's too boring. Mo Zhengtian shook his head and sighed. When he first arrived at this place, he had indeed felt a sense of danger. However, as he avoided the danger this time around, his rate of improvement skyrocketed, and he had already advanced to the formation realm. Not only him, but many others had also reached this level. But so what if he was shocked? He already felt bored. He had killed both the Deer King and the Wolf King. He had even killed a tiger on a mountain. That should have been a king as well. In his field of vision, the Wolf King and the fleeing silver wolves were caught and killed, and the crystals were taken out. What's the point of staying here? Mo Zhengtian said in boredom. Do you want to find some fun to play with? Moe trembled and asked, What fun? Mo Zhengtian said, In any case, when we leave this place, we will definitely be Saint Venerables. Furthermore, there are kings with 99 Dao powers here. Their battle prowess is not as good as ours. Our goal is to become Saint Venerables. What's the point of staying here? Moe trembled and said, But the Saint Venerables who came here were not seen. Perhaps there are other secrets in the depths. We should try to explore them. Perhaps. But what does that have to do with us? Do you think with our strength, we can reach a higher level after we leave this place? Stop dreaming. There are only Saint Venerables in this world. There are no existences stronger than Saint Venerables. Mo Zhengtian said, There's almost no point in staying here, so let's find some fun. Think of a way to find Lei Zhenghongtian. I don't believe he's dead. After we find him, we can go find Zichun and kill him together. Moe trembled and nodded. She did not have any objections. Mo Zhengtian did not believe that Lei Zhenghongtian was dead, and she did not believe that Zichun was dead either. What's that in front? Mo Yin saw a small person appear in front of her. He held a weapon in his hand and was walking toward them. A human? Mo Zhengtian also saw this scene. There are humans in this world, but they are too ugly. Then he laughed. Go and capture him. I want to ask him about the situation here. 3 people walked out. They were the ones who had killed Wolf King earlier. They had extraordinary combat strength and volunteered themselves. The 3 of them walked toward the small person. The small person held a bamboo blade in his hand. The 3 of them approached quickly. One of them shouted, Kid, come with me. My master has something to ask you. The Grecian person laughed when he heard that. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. In the next moment, he decisively swung his blade. The blade flashed 3 times, and the 3 formation realm cultivators' bodies were separated. In just one move, the 3 of them were killed. When Mo Zhengtian saw this scene from behind, his expression immediately changed. Even if the 3 of them were facing Wolf King, it would not be like this. Woman. After killing the 3 of them, the Grecian person walked forward. His eyes were fixed on Moe Yin. His eyes were filled with greed and lust. Moe trembling had a bad feeling in her heart. She immediately signaled Moe Yin to retreat. At the same time, a few more demons rushed forward. Don't be careless. Moe trembled and shouted. Her eyes were fixed on the front. That small person gave her a strong sense of danger. Both sides began to fight. After the Grecian person killed another 2 people, his heart was pierced by a bone blade. He fell to the ground and died. Although the Grecian person was killed, there were a few people in the team who were injured. The strength displayed by the other party was much stronger than the Deer King. Moreover, both of them were in the same realm. Master, there are no crystals. One of them shouted after cutting open the Grecian person's body. No crystals? What kind of monster is that? Just when Mo Zhengtian was slightly stunned, a few more Grecian people appeared in his field of vision. They were shouting about women and holding bamboo weapons as they moved forward. At this moment, the Grecian people here moved out. They headed toward the people of the 3 races who had grown up. Their target was the women. Tree was very polite to Zichun. He did not put on the airs of a king at all. Perhaps it was because they were both men, but Zichun got along well with him. While chatting, Zichun learned that 2 Grecian people had followed them. However, they were now trapped by Tree. Only then did Zichun know that danger was so close to them. What's up with those Grecian people? Why are they so strong? After getting familiar with Tree, Zichen asked whenever he had a question. He did not hold back. Chapter 4660. The Grahan people were divided into different levels. The ones that Zichen and the others encountered were the weakest, but they still almost lost their lives. After hearing the tree's words, Zichen gained a deeper understanding of this strange world. He also knew a little more about the dangers of this place. Next, there are kings, such as Gaduan King. Originally, there was only one king here, but as time passed, there were more kings here, and now there are 18 kings. This news made Zichen even more shocked. He did not expect there to be so many strong people here. Zichen, who had not awakened his ability, was under even more pressure. Protect your female companions. If you can't protect them, kill them first. Pale Fragrance had said something similar before, but she did not explain the reason. This time, Tree mentioned it again, so Zichen asked for the reason. Gaduan wants to use their bloodline, similar to how you humans carry on the family line, so that he can have a soul that belongs to your world, and then return to your world. This world is strange and curious to you, but to them, it's a cage. Everyone wants to leave this place, and in order to leave this place, they will do anything. Once the female companions fall into the hands of the Grahan people, they will become tools for them to cultivate their souls. They will live a life worse than death. Don't expect anyone to take pity on them. The 18 kings all think so. Once they succeed, they will leave. Pale Fragrance did not tell Zichen everything, but Tree did. He did not know if it was because of some misgivings or other reasons, but Tree did. Since they want to leave, why don't they just follow us? Why do they have to do this? Zichen was very puzzled. The door is already closed. No one can leave here. Tree said, why don't they just follow us? Zichen said, we will definitely be able to leave. When the time comes, everyone can leave together. In our world, we welcome such existences. Tree shook his head. That is impossible. Even if the door is open, there will be people guarding it, and they will not be allowed to leave. It is even more impossible to climb over the wall and leave. What do you mean? Zichen still could not understand. Tree looked into the distance and fell into silence. Zichen waited quietly. After a while, the tree said, have you ever heard of zoos? Zichen was a little surprised. It's to keep some animals in a garden and feed them. They don't let them suffer, but they don't let them leave either. Zichen nodded. He naturally understood this. In the world of mortals, they were unable to cultivate, so they were unable to fight against ferocious beasts in the wild. Therefore, they had probably never seen those large beasts in their entire lives. Thus, in some kingdoms, gardens would be built one after another, in which some ferocious beasts would be raised for the mortals to visit. Some of the hunting grounds of the royal family were also like this. Many people would catch some powerful beasts and bring them in. There would be people guarding outside, so they couldn't come out and could only live in that place. The Colosseum was similar. Only humans could enter and leave. Once those beasts left, they would be killed. Zichen seemed to understand what the tree meant. The tree pointed at its feet and said, this place is like a zoo. Everything that lives here is like a domesticated animal. If you stay here, everyone will have a good life. But if you want to leave and take a look outside, it's very difficult. Or rather, it's impossible to go out at all. Is it the rule? The rule doesn't allow you to leave? Zichen said, the manager you mentioned is the rule of this place. It can easily distinguish the aura of both sides and know who can leave. You can say that. The tree stretched out its finger and gently touched the ground. Not far away, 2 shining fruits fell from the Tree King's branch. The monk, who had just finished refining the fruit's energy, opened his eyes and saw another fruit appear in front of him. He reached out to take it and swallowed it without hesitation. He closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. On the other side, Lin Shui also received a fruit. Although the tree had been chatting with Zichen, he had been paying attention to the situation on the other side. There were enough fruits. All right, I won't disturb you. Do your best to refine them. There are enough fruits here. The tree stood up and signaled Zichen to continue cultivating. A fruit flew in front of him. He didn't ask Mr. Tree why it was so nice to them because it might be fate. Meiji was like this, Danxiang was like this, and Mr. Tree was probably like this too. One fruit after another was refined by Zichun. His strength increased a lot. It was a great improvement, but he still didn't awaken any abilities. This was also Zichun's biggest regret at the moment. Su Mingyao was the second person in the team to reach the Array realm. She was one step faster than Zhang Haoyin, which was out of everyone's expectations. After breaking through, her illusory ability had naturally become stronger as well. Mr. Tree asked Su Mingyao if she wanted to practice first. The two Gashan people were still trapped in this place. Su Mingyao shook her head. She didn't need to use this method to increase her combat power. The forest was very quiet, so Zichun and the rest didn't know what was happening outside. They also didn't know that the Gashan people had officially moved out and started their plan. Zhang Haoyin also broke through not long after. After obtaining 50 rays of strength, his methods became stronger. He went to look for the Gashan people, but he didn't find them to practice. Instead, he hid behind them for a while and followed them for a while before retreating. He had absolute confidence that he could kill a Gashan person. Mr. Tree had an unlimited supply of fruits, so everyone improved very quickly. Next, they broke through to the Array realm one after another. Although no one knew what sort of benefits they would receive upon returning after breaking through to the Formation realm, it was only natural that the higher the realm, the better. The blue-white flowers danced around Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao glanced at Zichun under the Tree King and shook her head slightly. Most people had broken through. Even Pei Wenyao started to try to break through. However, Zichun still didn't awaken any abilities. He wasn't even in the most basic light realm. Zichun was also very anxious. Su Mingyao could sense that his emotions were fluctuating greatly. After the Gashan people joined the battle, the people who came in suffered a lot. Those who were lucky enough to survive encountered the second inhumane siege. This time, it wasn't as simple as death, especially for those female cultivators. Zichun, who still didn't awaken any abilities, felt a little depressed as he watched his companions break through to the Array realm one after another. After refining the fruit, he rejected the new fruit provided by Mr. Tree. Instead, he said, "Where are the Gashan people? I want to try." "You?" Mr. Tree was startled. Zichun hadn't awakened any abilities. How could he be a match for the Gashan people? "I'll try first. If there's danger, I'll retreat," Zichun said again. Mr. Tree, who could understand Zichun's feelings, nodded. However, Mr. Tree didn't know why Zichun was in such a situation. However, he firmly believed that Zichun wasn't an ordinary person. The fate that brought them together must be an extraordinary fate. Zichun walked outside. That was the direction where the Gashan people were. Not long after, a Gashan person appeared in Zichun's vision. The two Gashan people were originally together, but they were isolated by Mr. Tree. During this period, in order to ensure that the two of them wouldn't starve to death, Mr. Tree would provide some additional fruits, but they were all coincidental encounters. At this moment, when the listless Gashan person saw the human in his vision, the expression in his eyes finally changed. He held a bamboo blade in his hand and immediately charged at Zichun. Zichun looked at the approaching Gashan person with a cold expression. Even if he hadn't awakened any abilities, as long as he could kill the Gashan person, he wasn't a weakling. He slashed down with his blade. Zichun turned around and took a small step back. The bamboo blade brushed past his body. The Gashan person, who missed its attack, flipped the bamboo blade in its hand and slashed horizontally again. Its reaction was extremely fast. Zichun kept retreating and dodging the attack. He looked at the other party in surprise. This Gashan person was fast and wasn't stupid. After dodging several attacks again, Zichun found an opportunity and punched out. Bang! The Gashan person retreated as its footsteps became messy. Zichun was also forced to take a few steps back. However, he quickly stabilized his body. With a shift of his feet, he immediately approached the Gashan person and threw out another punch. This punch landed on the other party's wrist, causing the Gashan person's bamboo blade to drop. Zichun tapped his foot, and the bamboo blade flew into the distance. Without the bamboo blade, the Gashan person was enraged. It began to clash head-on with Zichun. Muffled sounds came from the forest. Moments later, Zichun used the force to retreat and ran into the forest. The Gashan person chased after him, but soon, he couldn't see Zichun anymore. Tree's face appeared on a large tree. His expression changed, filled with shock. With just the strength of his body, Ziqian was already able to resist the Gashan person. Even if he could only last for a short while, it was still impressive. In the next moment, Tree disappeared. When he returned, Ziqian had already begun healing. Tree placed the bamboo blade on the ground. He was very satisfied with the bamboo rod that was taken away by the demon ape. Moreover, this bamboo weapon was indeed extraordinary. It was suitable for everyone. It seemed that no one in the team was suitable to use a saber. As the monk hadn't awakened the power of good, he didn't have the mood to fight for it. After recovering from his injuries, Ziqian went to find the Gashan person who didn't have a weapon. After a round of fighting, he returned with injuries. In the following time, Ziqian kept fighting the Gashan person. After gaining a certain understanding of the Gashan person's true combat strength, Ziqian was also improving. This kind of improvement temporarily reduced the pressure of not having awakened abilities. However, there was still a long way to go before he could kill the other party. However, as long as he continued to improve, Ziqian was confident. Tree, who had been watching the battle in the dark, was more and more surprised by Ziqian's improvement. The outside world had already reached an extremely chaotic moment. After the Gashan person took action, everyone was in danger. Chapter 46-61. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Therefore, if the Grey Hill people wanted to kill, they could easily slaughter all the humans who came here. Not to mention the holy spirits, even the holy venerables would be killed. The Grey Hill people were second only to the kings. They were considered to be standing at the peak of this world. Now, just some ordinary Grey Hill people walked out and killed everyone. Everyone had nowhere to run. Fortunately, this world was very kind to humans. There were rules that came from the sky and prevented the humans from dying. It was like a territory was drawn. After the humans escaped to this area, the Grey Hill people could not kill them. Even though the Grey Hill people were unwilling, they had no choice. The rules were greater than everything. However, these people did not feel good because most of the female companions who came with them were killed. They were living a life worse than death. Some people wanted to leave, but they could not find a way out. The Grey Hill people did not retreat. This situation might continue for a long time. Everyone felt humiliated, but there was nothing they could do. The Grey Hill people were too strong. This situation lasted for about 10 days. Then, the Grey Hill people retreated. Not long after, a fox that could walk upright and talk came to the periphery. Everyone, listen up. I represent the Gaduan king to recruit you. If you want to join us, you only need to contribute a woman. As long as you join us, the Gaduan king will guarantee that your realm will improve and reach the speech realm. If anyone can make a great contribution to the Gaduan king will help you break through again and reach the head realm. The fox's words shocked everyone in the periphery. One had to know that they only knew about the light realm and the formation realm. Even the powerful Grey Hill people were only in the formation realm. Then what were the speech realm and the head realm? Hearing those words, Zhengtian sighed. It seems that I have underestimated this place. This place is much more advanced than I thought. Today, the fox that could talk had already surprised him. He did not expect that the fox would tell him about 2 more realms. Only by joining the Gaduan King's team can you reach a higher realm. Otherwise, the power of 99 formation realms will be the limit you can reach. Believe me, in terms of familiarity with the realms, I far surpass all of you. Not to mention you all, even the Saint Venerables among you are only at the speech realm at most. It is impossible for them to reach the head realm. Think about it carefully. After you understand, go and find me in the depths. Right? My name is Gusong. If you want to become stronger, only I can help you. The fox turned around and left. What do you think? Looking at Fox's departing figure, Zhengtian glanced at Zhen. The conditions are very generous, but handing over our own people is against the rules. We will lose people's hearts, Zhen said with a trembling voice. Zhengtian smiled and said, then hand over the enemy, such as Ziqian's female companions. Ziqian was fighting against the Grahan who had lost his weapon. Their fists collided, and every strike was a solid attack. Every punch was deadly. Powerful energy scattered in all directions, bringing up countless fallen leaves. Zichen's punch landed on the Grahan, and the other party's body slid back 30 feet. Immediately after, the other party rushed forward and attacked Zichen, forcing him to retreat. The two sides exchanged blows. Although it was a life-and-death battle and was extremely dangerous, neither side could do anything to the other. Tree was still watching in the dark. This was Zichen's recent improvement. 15 minutes later, Zichen chose to retreat again. The Grahan was already covered in wounds. Zichen, who was also injured, staggered back to recuperate. The others looked at Zichen, who had returned, and did not say anything. Recently, Zichen had been fighting and did not speak much. As for the result, no one asked because they did not know how to say it. They were worried that it would be rubbing salt on the wound. The bamboo blade was still there, and no one took it. Tyrant stretched his back and stood up. He deliberately made some movements. A fruit fell and was caught by Zichen. He wanted to refine the chemotherapy. "How's the battle situation?" The monk walked towards Zichen, and a long-lost smile appeared on his face. "I can only last for 15 minutes. Zichen was slightly startled, and then he said truthfully, "That's not bad." The monk said, "You can fight with the Grahan for so long without awakening your ability. You're not bad. By the way, do you really not have any awakened ability?"
Yes.
Zichen nodded and asked in confusion, "What's the matter?" The others looked at the monk, not understanding why he would talk to Zichen at this time. Moreover, he deliberately pointed out this matter. It was obvious that Zichen was in a bad mood recently. "Nothing. I just want you to take a look at this." Golden light appeared around the monk's body, as if pure Buddhist power was lingering around him. This was kindness. The kindness of good and evil. The others' expressions changed. Did the monk awaken the ability of kindness? Everyone was naturally happy and understood why the monk was so relaxed. However, the monk was showing off in front of Zichen at this time. Would it cause a blow to Zichen's heart? Zichen was stunned again. "Did you awaken your kindness?" Of course. It was awakened so easily. There was no difficulty at all. The monk patted his chest and said proudly, "Let me ask you, are you angry? Don't you think it's infuriating?" "Get lost." Zichen rolled his eyes. This guy was too shameless. "Haha, let me ask you, are you angry? It's so infuriating. You awaken so easily." The monk was very proud. After he was no longer depressed, he returned to his old self. The others were angry and amused. Previously, many of them were worried about the monk's mentality, but now it seemed that it was completely unnecessary. The first thing he did when he awakened was to show off to Zichen. He did not care about Zichen's feelings at all. It was obvious that he was deliberately infuriating him. The monk looked around proudly and saw the bamboo blade that no one touched. "Well, I'm lacking a weapon recently. I think get lost. Find it yourself if you want. It's mine." Zichen immediately got up and leaped into the air, grabbing the bamboo blade in his hand. "Tsk, stingy." The monk curled his lips and said, "Old tree, where is the other Gashan person? I'll go there to practice and teach him how to behave in the future." Mr. Tree was obviously stunned by the way he was addressed. However, he quickly reacted and pointed in a direction. "I say, you have to continue working hard. It's not your style to not awaken your ability for so long. But thinking about it, who in the world can be more outstanding than me?" Before leaving, the monk showed off proudly. Zichen waved his hand impatiently and said, "Get lost if you want to leave. You talk too much nonsense." "Haha." Tyrant laughed complacently as he left. There were not many opportunities for him to suppress Zichen. Looking at the monk's proud face, Zichen also laughed. After the monk's jesting, the others felt more relaxed. Feeling the change in everyone's mood, Zichen said, "Don't worry about me. I've improved a lot recently. Although I haven't awakened my ability, it's not a problem to deal with a Gashan person in a one-on-one situation." In another direction, there was an unusual team. They had close to 30 people. All of them were sitting cross-legged. The team was very neat, and they were all dressed in the same way. At the very front, there was a person sitting there. He was obviously the leader. "If you want to join the Gashan King, you need a woman. Ichian, it seems like I'll have to sacrifice you this time." The man turned his head and smiled. You won't refuse, right? In another direction, a beautiful woman stood there. Her face was delicate. After hearing this, she said lightly, "Up to you. You're quite calm. Ever since I caught you, you've been very cooperative. You didn't escape even once. If it weren't for Zichun, I wouldn't be willing to send a beauty like you to the Gushan people. After all, you have some of our blood in you, don't you? It's a waste to let those Gashan people spoil you." The man sighed. "It's just that my hatred for Zichun is as deep as the sea. So, I can only make the best use of a beauty like you. Brother Towering, what do you think of my suggestion? Give her to Gusong in exchange for our strength." It turned out that there was a man not far from the woman. Towering stood up and looked forward. "If it was me, I don't think I would do that." "Oh?" The God Race man was surprised. "I'll use her to lure Zichun out." Towering said, "The alliance that targeted Zichun last time was too stupid. They were tricked by Zichun and suffered a great loss." The God Race man said, "Although I vowed to kill Zichun, compared to this, it's not bad to make a deal with the Gashan king. At least our battle strength can be improved a lot. This way, it'll be easier to kill Zichun." Towering nodded. "It's not impossible, but..." Looking at the hesitant Towering, the God Race man asked, "But what?" Towering said, "You can try to kill two birds with one stone." When the two sides were talking, they didn't avoid Ichien. But Ichien was the same as before. She didn't express any opinions. It was as if what they were talking about had nothing to do with her. The God Race man immediately understood Towering's words and said, "You mean, let's deliberately release the news and lure Zichun out so that the Gashan king can deal with him?" Then the God Race man suddenly slapped his thigh. "Yes, Zichun tricked those people last time. This time, we can use the Gashan king to trick Zichun. Although we may miss the opportunity to kill him personally, it's still a great pleasure to watch him die. Oh, by the way, Zichun has some female companions. When they die, those female companions will be counted as our contribution. It seems that we have a chance to take a few steps forward." The more the God Race man thought about it, the more excited he became. Compared to just handing Ichien over to the Gashan king, this was a great contribution. He was very satisfied with this proposal and immediately said, "In that case, let's release the news. Unless Zichun is dead, he will definitely show up. I don't believe that he will ignore the life and death of his fiancée." Chapter 46-62. The monk appeared with a broad and thick knife. It was still a bamboo knife, but no one knew how it was made. He smiled and waved the bamboo knife in his hand, making the wind howl. He was uneasy and proud. "Hey, come and take a look. This is a top-notch weapon." After awakening the power of good and evil, the monk had become the monk of the past. Wherever he went, he would show off. As for that Gu Shanren, needless to say, he was killed by the monk. Zichun was still recuperating from his injuries. The others glanced at the monk and didn't even congratulate him. If they congratulated him, he would probably show off for a long time. The man from the God Race was called Shunhong. The team he brought with him was definitely the elite of the elites of the God Race. For Yue to join this team as a human, other than his feud with Zichun, it was mostly because of his own strength. Last time, when they tried to kill Zichun, Shunhong was a bystander because Yue predicted that they wouldn't succeed. In the end, he was right and those people suffered great losses. "Brother Yue, who do you think is more suitable for this?" Shunhong asked. "Of course it's you. That fox can speak human language. Obviously, it has human thinking and intelligence. It's still in the early stages, and it needs to build a relationship of trust with everyone. Therefore, it shouldn't go back on its words." Yue paused and said, "Also, if you show up at this time, it will bring both sides closer." Shunhong nodded and agreed with Yue. "But only you can go alone. Ichien can't go because you want to use her to catch the big fish. It's not good to bring the bait over now. Also, the sooner you do this, the better. Who knows, those demons might use this method again. By then, we won't have any advantage." "All right, I'll go now." In order to show his sincerity, Shunhong went alone. As for the others, they stayed here to monitor and control Ichien. Ichien stayed quietly with the team. She didn't try to escape because she knew it was useless. Yue glanced at Yiqian and stood at the side. The two of them didn't talk at all. Shenhong came to the depths and said that he wanted to see Gusong. A fox actually had such a name. Gusong personally came out to meet Shenhong. Just as Yinwei had said, Gusong really needed to establish trust in the early stages. Shenhong immediately told him the reason for his visit. Gusong listened quietly. After a while, he asked, "What's your plan?" Zichen has a lot of people on his side, and they're quite strong. We can release the news directly and agree to appear at a certain time. When the time comes, we can let Sir's subordinates lie in ambush and catch them all in one fell swoop. Shenhong said, as long as we kill Zichun, his female companion can stay and contribute to Sir's plan. I am from the god race, so I have some attainments and research on the divine soul. Perhaps I can be of some help. Gusong nodded, thinking that this was a good plan. Shenhong continued, however, there is a problem. Do you have enough subordinates? We have enough. Don't worry. Moreover, I will arrange for a Gushan person at the Yin realm to go over. Let alone one Zichun, even a group of Zichins would die, Gusong said confidently. That's great. As for the news, I will arrange it. The conversation between both parties went smoothly. Just as Shenhong left, Gusong gave him 2 bamboo weapons. Clearly, he was very sincere. This made Shenhong even more satisfied. After returning, he immediately sent people to spread the news. The news spread quickly. Imo Zhangtian and the others were the first to know. He was eating when he heard the news and threw the food in his hand away. A minute, we were too late. Imo Zhangtian's face darkened. Who is that Shenhong? Do you have any impression of him? Imoi shook her head. Last time, their people had caused a huge commotion. Those who wanted to kill Ziqian had all come, including some from the god race. However, she had never heard of this name. Could it be a nobody? Imo Zhangtian frowned. I'm afraid not. Those who dare to scheme against Ziqian shouldn't be nobodies, Imoi said. This is a little troublesome. They have grasped the best opportunity. This is our chance to become stronger. To be honest, even I want to kill him and replace him. After all, he has a trump card that can be used against Zichun. Of course, this was just a joke. They definitely couldn't make a move at this time. Imo Zhangtian said, get someone to keep an eye on him first. We will act according to the situation. Zichun and the others seemed to have come to a paradise. There were no conflicts here, but there were countless resources for them to grow. If this could continue, everyone would be happy to stay here. Until a piece of news came out. Tree told Zichen everything that had happened recently, including the part where he was involved. Shenhong? This was an unfamiliar name. He had never heard of it. I'll go and kill him. Monk walked over. Lord Zheng's saber has been thirsting for it for a long time. When the others heard Tree's words, they understood why Yiqian didn't meet up with them. She had been captured by Shenhong. Everyone was furious, but they knew that they couldn't be rash. This was obviously a trap. Tree looked at the few women beside him and said, you guys better not be rash. It's best if you can think of a foolproof plan. Zichen stood up and said, Mingyao, you guys stay here. We'll go and save Yiqian. If it was any other time, Su Mingyao would naturally nod and agree. She wouldn't go against Zichon. But today, she shook her head. This is meaningless. Let's not talk about the chances of you guys succeeding. If you fail, they will continue to force us out. When that time comes, do you think we should go or not? Instead of being passive, why don't we go all out from the start? Even if we fail, we will have a clear conscience. Sister is right. Wang Xian, and the others nodded. Yiqian was also their friend. Naturally, they had to save her. All right then, let's go together. Zichen said, I want to see what trick Shenhong is up to. Everyone was ready to move. Tree said, there's really nothing I can help you with. I'll give each of you a leaf. It can help you hide, but it won't last for long. As he spoke, leaves fell from above, one for each of them. Zichen thanked him and was about to leave. Suddenly, he thought of something and asked, what do the Yin realm and Head realm mean? Chapter 46-63. After hearing what Zichen said, Tree's expression became a little strange. He said, if I'm not wrong, it should be the meaning of language and leader. Zichen still did not understand. Being able to speak means that you have the human language. And leader is a general term. For example, the leader of the Gushan people is far more powerful than the Gushan people. Zichun was slightly taken aback. So you're saying that these two realms are also literal? Back then, the light realm and the formation realm were actually literal meanings. The tree said, it should be the literal meaning, but it does represent an even greater power. So, once you meet them, you must be careful. Zichun nodded, and the group left. Before leaving, Zichun went to kill the last Gushan person. Even if he did not awaken any abilities, he still had powerful killing methods. After walking out of the forest, Zhang Haoyan went out to gather information. Not long after, Zhang Haoyan brought back news. Zichun did not expect so many things to happen in this period of time. Where's Shenhong? Did you see him? Zichun asked. Zhang Haoyan shook his head to show that he did not see him, but he brought back news that the two sides were going to make a deal soon. The so-called deal was naturally to hand Yiqian over to the Gushan people. Zhang Haoyan continued to gather information, while the others stayed in place and waited for news. Pei Wenyao came back with some information about Shenhong. It was said that he had a very high status in the Shin clan. The reason he was targeting Zichun was because Zichun had killed his brother. Zichun did not know where this feud started, but since the other side was here for revenge, he naturally had to accept it. Then, whether it was Pei Wenyao or Zhang Haoyan, they easily gathered more information. It was as if they were deliberately releasing it. So, not only did Zichun know that this was a deliberate targeting, but everyone could also guess that this was a trap. A trap to target Zichun. Neil, this time you go personally. Gu Song went to find a Gushan person in the speech realm. This was the person who had promised Shenhong. The Grishan named Neil said, it's not a problem to go there, but what's the point? Right now, the humans outside are waiting to watch the show. We are not monkeys, so why do we have to do this? When one reached the speech realm, one would be able to speak. In fact, it wasn't just speaking. It also represented a higher level of wisdom. Gusong said, Your Excellency's plan has encountered some problems, and you need the help of those humans. After all, we can't compare to those humans when it comes to understanding soul power. Neil said, then why don't we just capture them all? Why do we have to go through so much trouble? My lord said that we must get those humans to help us willingly. Otherwise, there might be problems. Previously, it was called deterrence. Now, it's time to lure. The corners of Gusong's mouth curled up slightly as he said, this is a great opportunity for us to win the hearts of the people. As long as we kill that guy called Zichun in front of those spectators and promise some benefits to the others, this matter should be settled. The reason why I asked you to go over is just in case. I heard that Zichun is a little strange. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. As the news spread, the surviving humans in the periphery came out one by one. Some of them had even reached the place where the transaction was taking place a long time ago. This was no longer a secret. It was something that had been made public long ago. Everyone came here because they wanted to see how Zichun would resolve the crisis this time. After all, everyone had personally experienced the strength of the Gushan people. They were inhumane and extremely cruel. Those who were still alive could be said to be the lucky ones. Everyone was looking forward to Zichun creating another miracle. Otherwise, most of them would be unable to move an inch. If they couldn't find a way to leave, they would be unable to move an inch. This also meant that they were closer to death. When it was time for the transaction, Shenhong finally appeared. This name was unfamiliar, but he dared to scheme against Zichun. Clearly, he was extraordinary. At the same time, Yiqian also appeared in front of everyone. Cries of surprise came from the crowd. Previously, many people had seen the female companions besides Zichun. Clearly, all of them were top-notch. This person called Yiqian was also one of them. It was said that she was Zichun's fiancée. If Shenhong was willing to give away such a beauty, it could be seen how deep the grudge between him and Zichun was. Zichun also saw Shenhong. Unsurprisingly, this was an unfamiliar face. Yiqian was in the group. She was surrounded by those people. Although she wasn't tied up, it could be seen that she didn't have a choice. Zichun's eyes gradually turned cold. It was fine to seek revenge on him, but not Yiqian. Therefore, in Zichun's eyes, This person called Shen Hong was already a dead man. Look, that's Yin Wei. At this moment, a low voice came from the side. Zichen shifted his gaze and saw Yin Wei. Compared to Yiqian, who was in the middle of the group, Yin Wei was walking beside Shen Hong. At this moment, the two of them were chatting happily. It didn't seem like they were being threatened. This guy is chatting happily with Shen Hong. Could they be in cahoots? Xing Chun said indifferently. Could it be that this was set up by him? After all, only he knows about this relationship. Zichun, who was originally cold, smiled after seeing Yin Wei. This should be set up by him. As for being in cahoots, it's not to the extent of it. Looks like we need to be alert. This group is very difficult to deal with. We definitely can't underestimate them. Yiqian was a goddess. There was no need to talk about her talent. Yin Wei was also very impressive. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become Zichen's biggest enemy. If it was an ordinary group, with the two of them working together, even if they couldn't kill everyone, it would still be easy for them to escape. However, Yin Wei had chosen to stay in the group and even watched as this trap was set up. This was enough to explain many things. This group was very strong. At the very least, the two of them couldn't fight against it. Zichun had absolute trust in Yin Wei. In the distance, people were moving. Shen Hong smiled coldly. Do you think Zichun is here? Yin Wei shook his head slightly. It's hard to say. However, as long as he's not dead, he should be here. Perhaps he's looking at us now, waiting for the right time to strike. Time? Does he have the guts to strike us? As long as he dares to come near, I'll kill Yiqian first. Yin Wei smiled and didn't say anything. Everything will go according to plan. In front of Shen Hong, a group of Gushan people appeared. There were 10 of them. They had come according to the agreement. 10 Gushan people taking Yiqian away didn't seem to be a big problem. In the distance, seeing that both parties were about to meet, Devil Ape was anxious. He asked, "What do we do now?" Xingchen added, "If we let them meet up, we'll have to face even more enemies." Chapter 46-64. The reason why Zichen chose to take action at this time was because he saw Yin Wei and trusted him. Things were developing in a good direction. Although the situation was still a little bad, it was fortunate that the worst had not happened. A group of 13 people appeared just like that. As for Pei Wenyao, Zichen asked him to continue hiding or hide further away. It was not that he did not trust him, but he did not want him to take the risk. After all, his combat power was limited. Zichen's sudden appearance caused an uproar. Shen Hong also saw Zichen from afar. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Sure enough, you're here. I wonder if you have the guts to come over." Yin Wei's expression changed a little. After so many years, this was the first time he saw Zichen. In the past, he only saw Zichen through the crystal ball. Other than Zichen, Tyrant and the rest were all there. Almost everyone was here. After Zichen appeared, he did not look for trouble with Shen Hong. Instead, he went to look for the Gashan people. Kill the Gashan people first. Looking at the direction where Zichen and the rest were heading, Shen Hong laughed. Coward indeed. Then, he turned around and looked at Yiqian. Seems like you're not that important in his heart. Yiqian did not reply. She looked ahead and looked at everyone. They were finally gathered together again. The 13 people rushed towards the Gashan people. In terms of numbers, Zichen and the rest had the absolute advantage. This was a rare battle scene for Zichen. Usually, he was the one being ganged up on. There are 3 bamboo weapons. Looks like they are not weak. Shen Hong noticed the 3 bamboo weapons in Zichen's group. His expression changed a little. Now, the survivors knew that bamboo weapons were exclusive to the Gashan people. Zichen's group had 3 bamboo weapons, which meant that they had killed 3 Gashan people. If they could kill these Gashan people successfully, each of them would have one. The devil ape in the group suddenly sped up. He held a bamboo stick tightly in his hand and immediately swept it out. As a beam of light flashed by, the Gushan people who came into contact with him first were knocked back more than 10 steps. Then, the demon ape waved its long stick and charged toward the Grahan. Around his body, there were a total of 70 rays of light of power, and the formation diagram under his feet was particularly obvious. Another uproar broke out in the distance. Was he going to fight against Tengu Shan people by himself? At this moment, a furious roar resounded. Tyrant followed closely behind. How could he possibly give this opportunity to show off to the demonic ape? At the instant they got close, Tyrant activated 78 beams of power. Just this amount of power from the formation realm was enough to cause one to be extremely shocked. Umitba, junior brother has improved a lot. Looks like you're with Zichun, junior brother. In the distance, a monk put his palms together. The other monks nodded in agreement. They were very pleased, but in the next moment, their expressions changed. The senior brother's words came to an abrupt halt. This was because the monk with the knife had attacked. Not only did he attack, but his mouth was not idle either. You bastard! Why don't you pay your respects to your Lord Buddha? Where is your benevolence? Where's your etiquette? As the knife slashed down, a heavy force exploded. One of the Gu Shan people who blocked the attack with his weapon was sent flying. Tyrant took a step forward and immediately appeared in front of the second Gu Shan person. Didn't you ask about my glorious deeds before coming here? You don't even know how to be polite. You're really rushing to your death. Another slash came down. This Gu Shan person wanted to copy the previous one and block the monk's attack. Unexpectedly, the monk's blade suddenly changed its direction and swept past the Gu Shan person. Then, the blade turned and brushed past the Gu Shan person's neck. Blood spurted out as a human head flew high into the air. Tyrant instantly retreated and stood in the distance. You're not being considerate. It's fine if you die, but you still want to use your blood as a hidden weapon? Tyrant's mouth was not idle, but he was not nagging. Therefore, everyone heard him clearly. For a moment, many people looked to the side, as if they were asking the people from the Buddhist domain with their eyes, "Are you guys from the Buddhist domain?" The group of monks felt ashamed. There was nothing wrong with killing demons here, but junior brother, you're talking too much. It was really damaging to the image of Buddhism. Fortunately, they were also very good at maintaining their composure. All of them remained silent and acted as if they did not know Tyrant. A monk and a devil ape were able to block 10 Gu Shan people. Excluding Tyrant's nonsense, this combat strength was enough to move everyone. Seems like we can't underestimate them. Shinhong let out a sigh. He had to admit that not only was Zichun impressive, even Zichun's friends were all extraordinary. Of course, none of Zichun's enemies were ordinary people. 10 Gu Shan people had joined forces to deal with Tyrant and Devil Ape. Now, 4 of them had died. It was only a matter of time before the remaining 6 died. Such combat strength was something that everyone yearned for. Zichun and the others were still walking at a leisurely pace. The battle would probably be over by the time they reached the battlefield. At this moment, another group of Gu Shan people appeared in their field of vision. This time, it was a small group of about 30 people and they were flying over. They were also holding bamboo weapons in their hands. Clearly, the Gu Shan people had come prepared. Zichun and the others finally arrived at the battlefield. Xingchun quickly went forward and picked up a bamboo weapon that looked like a long spear. He waved it around in his hands, and it was quite handy. Zichun looked at Su Mingyao and said, "Don't be hasty. Take it slow." Su Mingyao understood what Zichun meant and nodded her head. Su Mingyao's illusory techniques should be the biggest trump card of the group. Now that everyone was watching, they naturally had to be more cautious. Zichun looked ahead and saw that the Gu Shan people had increased their speed. They were filled with killing intent. Zichun's eyes turned cold bit by bit. Kill! With a loud roar, he dashed forward. Beside him, the others followed closely behind, their bodies lighting up one by one. Every one of them had more than 50 forces of strength and possessed the combat strength of the formation realm. Wang Xian who was moving forward, casually picked up a bamboo sword and temporarily used it as a weapon. She had not used the special sword that she had obtained previously. Everyone in the distance was envious. The bamboo weapons that were extremely precious in their eyes could be picked up at any time. Soon, everyone noticed a problem. Zichun's body did not light up. Why was that? Could it be that Zichun had not awakened his abilities yet? Some of them had such a guess. However, they did not dare to believe it. This was Zichun. How could he not have a breakthrough until now? At this moment, both parties met. Chapter 46-65. The mountain man held a bamboo blade in his hand. This was the most commonly used weapon of the mountain man. The moment the two sides approached each other, the mountain man slashed down with his blade. Zichen's body went from moving to still. Then, he dodged to the side, causing the blade to miss. The next moment, the bamboo blade in Zichen's hand moved. Like a bolt of lightning, it slashed across the mountain man's neck. He did not have any abilities, but the bamboo blade was sharp enough to instantly cut open the mountain man's throat. After the slash, Zichen had already arrived behind the mountain man. Meanwhile, the Grange hillman who had missed its attack was standing there motionlessly with its hand on its neck. Blood kept flowing out of the wound. The mountain man died in one move. The exclamations from behind rose and fell again. No one had expected that Zichen, who had yet to awaken his abilities, would have such terrifying combat strength. That seemingly simple action was not easy to accomplish at all. That was because the mountain man was very fast, and the strength of that slash was also extremely strong. It was not something that ordinary people could dodge. If it was so easy, they would not have suffered such a heavy loss last time. Although Zichen had yet to awaken his abilities, his body's reaction had long caught up to those with abilities. It even far surpassed them. The second mountain man's attack arrived. It went straight for Zichen. Zichen tilted his body and dodged the other party's attack again. Then, the bamboo blade in his hand struck out for the second time. It was still in a critical position. Its neck was cut open. The wound was very deep, but its head did not fall off. This was because Zichen had yet to awaken his abilities, so the strength of this strike was not enough. If he had awakened his abilities, this strike would have beheaded it. Similarly, if it were not for the sharpness of the bamboo blade, Zichen would not have been able to kill a mountain man so easily. Beside him, Xingchen attacked. The spear-like weapon in his hand directly pierced into the mountain man's chest. On the other side, the hurricane around Black Wind sliced a Grig hillman apart. Netherworld had just devoured the soul of a mountain man. They had obtained great benefits from Mr. Tree and improved very quickly. Now was the time to verify the results. On a tree not far away, a human face appeared. It was Tree. He was also watching from afar. This was also the first time he had seen Zichen's friends display their true strength. However, he was still hiding something. At the very least, Wang Xian'er, whom he thought highly of, had yet to use the sword of opportunity. In his entire life, he had only condensed a sword like that once. Only such an outstanding person would have such extraordinary friends. Tree looked at Zichen again, but he still couldn't believe that Zichen hadn't awakened his powers yet. Although his combat power was very strong, without awakened abilities in this world, he would still be limited. Why was it like this? The tree could not understand. Xinhong's face gradually turned gloomy. The methods that Zichen and his group had displayed were beyond his expectations. If it weren't for the Gu Shan people blocking them, he would have lost many of his subordinates. Moreover, in the end, both sides would definitely suffer. Therefore, Xinhong was very emotional. Fortunately, he had taken precautions in advance and discussed some details with Gu Song. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Yiqian looked at the battle with worry in her eyes. Since this was a trap, it wouldn't be so easy to break out of it. With these Gu Shan people dead, there might be more to come. Emo Jingtian had also come. Looking at the battle from afar, his expression was not good. On one hand, it was because of Zichen. On the other hand, it was because of Xinhong. In fact, he was feeling very conflicted. He hoped that Zichen would win and not let Xinhong have an easy time. However, he also hoped that Zichen would die here. There were close to 30 Gushan people. For Zichen and his group of 13, it was just a matter of one person killing 3 of them. Therefore, after dividing up the work, the number of Gushan people decreased sharply. Neil, who was supposed to attack, was still watching from afar. He had no intention of joining in. Just as these 30 people were about to die, he waved his hand again. The Gu Shan people in the distance quickly came over. This time, there were close to 100 of them. With their appearance, the crowd behind was in an uproar. However, Xinhong frowned. It shouldn't be like this. Where was the promised Yin Jing? Cheng Ho looked at Rat beside him and asked, "Why don't you think that Yin Jing has made his move?" There were many rats here. Moreover, the one in front of him was the Rat King. It wasn't difficult to find clues about Zichun. Chung Ho, who had escaped the pursuit previously, had turned back and stayed in the rat hole. He had only appeared today. Once he reaches the Yinjing, he will be different from ordinary Gushan people. That guy hasn't made his move yet. It should be for a greater contribution. Rat said, think about it. How many Gushan people has Zichun killed so far? If he kills these Gushan people, it will be over 100. If the Yinjing kills a powerful and threatening human, wouldn't that be a great contribution? Chung Ho smiled and said, that's true. When he makes his move, you will help me, right? Rat's face immediately turned bitter. There was a hint of panic in his eyes. My lord, please spare my life. How would we dare to attack the Gushan people? Unless we want to be exterminated. You rats are not good at other things. Breeding and digging holes are your skills. Who can exterminate you? Chung Ho laughed sarcastically. My lord, don't say that. The reason we exist is because of the kindness of King Gaduan, not because we are powerful. Chung Ho seemed to want to say something. Suddenly, his face changed and looked somewhere. A fox appeared there. Rat also noticed the situation there. His face suddenly changed. It's Lord Gusong. It's over. It's completely over. It seems that Zichun will definitely die. After saying that, Rat turned around and was about to run away. However, he was caught by Chung Ho. Where are you going? My lord, hurry up and run. If you don't run now, it will be too late. Rat shouted, that's Gusong, the most powerful existence under King Gaduan. Since he came personally, everything is settled. Watch. Chung Ho grabbed Rat and did not let go. His eyes were looking forward. This was the first time he saw Zichun's friends. They did not disappoint him. Each of them was extremely powerful. Su Mingyao walked forward when she was faced with so many mountain goo people. The moment those mountain goo people approached her, she glanced at them. All the Gushan people were frozen in place, as if they were frozen in place. Then, more than a dozen Gushan people fell down. In just a glance, more than a dozen died. Then, Zichun and the others rushed forward and began to harvest the lives of the Gushan people like harvesting crops. Neil saw this scene from afar. There was a hint of surprise on his face. He then smiled and said, this is interesting. Chapter 46-66. Neil was actually willing to wait a little longer. The strength of these people had exceeded his expectations. Hence, the later he killed them, the greater his contribution would be. However, since Gusong was here, he had no choice but to appear. Otherwise, it would be troublesome to return. In order to appear more casual, Neil appeared and shouted loudly. His voice was heard before he appeared. When Gusong saw this, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly with disdain. It was fine for the other party to play some tricks, but he had to do it well. Otherwise, punishment would be unavoidable. He didn't care about the death of some ordinary green hills. However, he couldn't afford to fail this mission. Gusong stood in the distance and watched quietly. As expected, Neil continued to play tricks and deliberately slowed down. Stop! He shouted loudly. However, under such circumstances, Zichun obviously wouldn't stop. Instead, he said in a deep voice, let's end this quickly. Shinhong heaved a sigh of relief. The Yin state had finally appeared. This battle should be settled. He was actually very curious about the power of the Yin state. Now was the time to take a look. Because of his great contribution today, he would soon reach the Yin state. Guwei's expression didn't change much. However, deep in his eyes, there was a tinge of worry. He didn't know if Zichun could survive this. Ichien had been worried about everyone since the beginning. After seeing the Yin state, she blamed herself. She was still too weak and had implicated everyone. Damn it! Mo Zhengtian cursed under his breath. This was going to be troublesome. A huge benefit had been taken by Shinhong alone. Moe frowned. He couldn't solve this situation. The Yin state was approaching. Zichun and the rest didn't stop. They were still killing the Green Hills even though the Yin state had shouted for them to stop twice. Neil was actually very satisfied. This was the way to go. He didn't hold back. There was still some time before he reached the Yin state. If he could kill all the remaining Green Hills in this period of time, it would be best. As he moved forward, he realized that these people were quite cooperative. However, no matter how much Zichen and the others killed, it was impossible for them to kill all of the Gragshans. Therefore, when Neil approached, he shouted, "All of you, back off. You know that you can't win, yet you still want to die? Are you stupid?" In front of absolute power, the GRG Hillmen had the strictest hierarchy. Therefore, after hearing Neil's words, the GRG Hillmen immediately retreated. Neil walked forward and glanced at the corpses on the ground. Feeling satisfied, he said coldly, "How dare you? Didn't you hear me tell you to stop?" Zichen glanced at Neil before glancing to the sides and making brief eye contact with Su Mingyao and the others. The 13 people in front of him were all holding bamboo weapons, ready to fight. "You humans are not weak," Neil said indifferently, "but you dared to kill my people. You're simply courting death." Zichun could not understand the other party. Instead of taking revenge, what was he talking about? Was he purposely giving him time to breathe? At the same time, Shinhong was also a little anxious. What was going on with this Yin realm? However, since I'm here personally today, I'll give you a chance to choose. Neil changed the topic. "Give me all your female companions. Then, you all will submit to me and serve me from now on. Don't worry, I'll give you all the benefits." Shinhong was stunned when he heard this. This was different from the plan. Was he trying to steal his credit? Motherf *Ker. Isn't this too shameless? Gu Song, who was behind, was also dissatisfied. How dare he make such a decision? Was he courting death? However, if he could really recruit them, it would not be a bad idea. Make a decision quickly or die. Neil's eyes turned cold. He still had to do business. Zichen glanced at Su Mingyao before running forward. He gripped the bamboo blade in his hand tightly, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. Xingqian, Heifeng, Yu Ming, and the others also moved at this time. There was no verbal communication. Everything was done by tacit understanding. "You're all courting death." Neil was furious. These ant-like fellows dared to take the initiative to attack. At this time, a small blue and white flower flew toward him. In his anger, he waved his hand and slapped it. With a pop, the little pollen was crushed, and countless tiny petals scattered in the air. Neil laughed sarcastically. Insignificant skill. At this time, he realized that there was nothing in his field of vision. Where were they? Just as he was in a daze, he felt a sudden pain in his chest. A wooden spear had pierced his chest. His body was strong, and the spear did not penetrate too deeply. Just as he was still unable to understand what was going on, a sense of danger attacked him again. Those who had disappeared previously had all appeared. At the same time, several weapons appeared in his field of vision. They were all bamboo weapons. This made him extremely angry. A powerful aura erupted, and a huge and real light formation appeared under his feet. It was like a hurricane had risen out of thin air. Within the range of the light formation, powerful forces surged. The nearby weapons all changed directions, and those who were close to him were all sent flying. This was the true strength of the Yin state. With just a thought, he could force the formation state to retreat. Looking at those who were sent flying, Neil was ready to start a massacre. Everyone in the distance could feel the power of the Yin state. They were stunned. How was Zicheng going to dodge such a situation? Wang Xian, who had not advanced, immediately moved forward when everyone was sent flying. A ray of light appeared in her palm. A sharp sword intent emerged, and a small gust of wind blew in the surroundings. Swoosh! Poof! The light and sound appeared at the same time. The sharp sword intent surged in the surroundings, bringing along countless withered grass. The ray of light that appeared in Wang Xian's palm penetrated Neil's body, drew an arc in front of him, and returned to Wang Xian's hand. It was a sword of light. The tree in the distance was extremely excited. Feeling the pain, Neil immediately retreated. At this moment, the anger on his face had already turned into horror. How could a mere formation state injure him? At this moment, Zhang Haoyan appeared behind him. The bamboo blade in his hand pierced through the spot where Wang Xian had pierced and then slashed. Boom! The careless Neil was enraged again. With a powerful vibration, Zhang Haoyan was sent flying. But immediately after, The monk's blade landed on the same spot again. This was the result of Zichen's glance. They had been together for a long time, and there was no need for more words. Their gazes were a sign of cooperation, and they had a tacit understanding. Neil was at a disadvantage because of his carelessness. Boundless anger emerged from his heart. A powerful aura began to surge, containing boundless killing intent. But at this moment, Neil's expression suddenly changed. His entire face changed, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The blood was black. Chapter 46-67. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Neil felt his body weakening. He had a bad feeling. He knew that he was poisoned. But when did this poison appear? Zhang Haoyan's attack contained the poison ability of the Insect King. As his cultivation level increased, this poison ability naturally became more terrifying. Wang Xian attacked first to break through his defense. Zhang Haoyan's subsequent attack was to better inject the poison into Neil's body. The monk's final attack was the icing on the cake. In this battle, the most important people were Su Mingyao, Wang Xian and Zhang Haoyan. You guys are courting death. Neil, who felt himself weakening, had a murderous look in his eyes. The aura of the Yin realm was even more oppressive. He pressed forward, and Zichun signaled for everyone to back off. After all, the other party was a Yin realm cultivator. There was dissatisfaction in Gusong's eyes. This idiot had actually been tricked. Perhaps there would be a change in the situation. At the next moment, Gusong was stunned. This was because that idiot didn't continue to attack. Instead, he turned and ran. Gusong wanted to curse. This bastard was really unreliable. Zichun and the rest were also stunned. They thought that the other party still had some powerful moves. They didn't expect that it was just a bluff. His motive was to turn and run. However, the other party just moved a few dozen feet before he fell. He was dead. This powerful Yin realm cultivator had just appeared. He didn't even have the chance to display his strongest power, but he was killed just like that. The spectators outside the field were all dumbfounded. This change was too fast. The Yin realm cultivator just appeared and released his aura once before he was killed. The attacks of the others were so dazzling that they almost didn't see it clearly. They didn't know why the Yin realm cultivator fell for it. With the Yin realm cultivator dead, Zichun heaved a sigh of relief. The biggest enemy was eliminated, but the problem was not yet solved. Zichun turned around and looked at Shenhong. I can give you a way to die. Shenhong snorted and said, if you dare to kill me, I'll kill you first. He turned around and realized that Yiqian was gone. He was stunned. The battle just now was so intense that everyone was a little distracted. They didn't expect Yiqian to run away. No, with his people watching, Yiqian couldn't have run. Bang! Bang! The two people closest to Yiqian fell to the ground, dead. Only then did the other subordinates react. For a moment, they were all stunned. The sound of footsteps rang out at that moment. When Shenhong turned around again, he saw Yao Wei bringing Yiqian and walking towards Yichun. Yang Wei, you? Shenhong looked at Yang Wei coldly. Yang Wei turned around and smiled. He said apologetically, I'm sorry. To me, profit is more important. In the face of absolute profit, hatred can be put aside. Your plan has failed, and I'm afraid it will be very troublesome to follow you. Now that I'm taking Yiqian to Zichun, do you think I'm abandoning the dark for the light? Good. Very good. Shenhong nodded, his tone cold. As expected of the cunning spirit race, your mind changes really quickly. I'll take that as a compliment, but you're too reserved. Can't you say more nice things? For example, I know how to adapt to circumstances. Yang Wei smiled faintly, then turned to Zichun and said, I, Yang Wei, am ashamed of Shenhong's actions. I'm willing to abandon the dark for the light and join Zichun's team. I wonder if that's possible? Yang Wei, you despicable person. This idea came from you. Shenhong said angrily, do you think Zichun will want you? Stop dreaming. He'll chop off your head immediately. Yang Wei said unhappily, Shenhong, you're not honest. This was obviously your idea. Shenhong laughed out loud. You idiot. Yiqian is there. She's still alive. How could she not know whose idea it was? Yiqian said, that's right. It was Yang Wei's idea. Haha. Hong was even more proud. Yang Wei, I'll see how you die now. The others were stunned. Was there going to be an internal conflict? However, that guy called Yang Wei was really shameless. He came up with such a bad idea, and now he wanted to join Zichun. He was really asking for death. In everyone's opinion, Zichun would definitely kill the other party immediately. Who knew that Zichun would say, "In our lives, we will always make many mistakes inadvertently. If we were to kill all of them, would there be anyone left in the world?" Hence, I think that we should always give others a chance to correct their mistakes. As the saying goes, who doesn't make mistakes in life? To be able to correct one's mistakes is a great kindness. Just as everyone was stunned, Zichun said to Yang Wei, "Welcome to the team." Everyone was stunned. What kind of trick was this? Yang Wei immediately walked forward, completely unprepared. Some people thought that Zichun was stalling because Yiqian was still in Yang Wei's hands. However, as long as Yiqian was safe, it would be Yang Wei's time to die. However, when Yang Wei joined the team and Yiqian hugged the other female companions, Zichun still did not make a move. Could it be that he really believed that Yang Wei could correct his mistakes? Emo Zhentian said, "This guy is raising a tiger to invite calamity." Emoi did not say anything. He felt that something was wrong, but he did not know what the problem was. He knew Zichun very well. He also knew that Zichun's way of doing things was different from normal people. Sometimes, he would not kill those who deserved to die. However, that kind of person definitely did not include people like Yang Wei. Zichun did not reminisce with Yang Wei. The others also pretended that they did not know Yang Wei. Yang Wei stood at the side and took the initiative to say, "Are we going to kill them now?" He looked at Hong. This made the other party even angrier. He could not wait to chop Yang Wei into pieces. Yes, they deserved to die. Zichun's eyes turned cold. The killing intent in his eyes was boundless. This made the others even more confused. Why did he not kill Yang Wei, the person who started all this? Why did he have such a strong killing intent toward Hong? Zichun walked forward. When he moved, the others moved as well. "You idiot. You are really hopeless." Hong looked at Zichun and said coldly, "Yang Wei is waiting for both of us to be injured. Then, he will kill you." Zichun said, "Both of us will be injured? You overestimate yourself." At this moment, Zichun really wanted to kill Hong. Such a person was too big a threat. Moreover, Yang Wei was here this time. Yiqian did not suffer any injuries. Next time, there might not be such an opportunity. Perhaps this battle would not be easy. However, eliminating all future troubles was more important than anything else. At this moment, another person suddenly appeared in the distance. It was another Gu Shan person. The moment he appeared, he released the aura of the yin state. Chapter 46-68. After this, Yin Jing appeared. He only glanced at Neil's corpse. Trash will always be trash. His gaze swept across the other corpses, and he said indifferently, "What kind of ability can a person who is constantly scheming for contribution points have? You guys are really good to be able to tolerate him until now." A fox stood behind Yin Jing and spoke in human language. "He's Yin Jing after all. We have to make the best use of him, right?" "Lord Gusong," Hong shouted from afar. At that moment, he had lost all hope and thought that his plan had failed. He didn't expect that the fox would come personally. Gusong waved at Hong. Of course, that was if he could call it a hand. This was a greeting and made Hong feel more at ease. "What use can this trash be? He can't even handle a bunch of little guys," Yin Jing said disdainfully. "He even lost his life. How stupid." Gusong said, "You can't say that. At least you saw their methods. The next battle should be easier." Yin Jing raised a finger. "I only need one move to deal with them." This confidence and strength moved Zichun and the others. Gusong nodded and said, "Good. According to our previous agreement, kill the men and leave the women alive." Zichun stepped forward subconsciously. The men in the team all stepped forward, including Yin Wei. At this moment, their eyes were filled with determination and strong fighting spirit. Even if they knew that they couldn't avoid this, they had to stand and die. Gusong retreated. He wouldn't attack. Yin Jing looked at everyone, and his expression turned cold. "I won't be merciful. So all of you can die. As he finished speaking, he moved. Suddenly, a shrill scream rang out. There was a ray of light in the sky. Help. No. Report. I want to report. The voice screamed as it fell from the sky and smashed into the ground with a loud bang. There was a deep hole in the ground. A mouse stood up shakily. I want to report. Lord, I want to report. The mouse said in a daze. Yin Jing's expression changed slightly. He had stopped attacking. Unexpectedly, it was also a speech realm. The others were also shocked. This small mouse looked harmless to humans and animals, but it was in the realm of speech. Yin Jing's eyes turned cold. What are you doing? My lord, I report. I report. Mouse pointed to the side and said, There. What he was trying to say was that there was someone there. A calm voice sounded as a man walked forward. Hearing this voice, Zichen's expression changed. After turning his head, he saw that familiar figure. For some reason, after seeing Cheng Ho, Zichen felt a sense of security. Tyrant and the others didn't know Cheng Ho, so they were curious about his intentions. Who are you? Yin Jing asked. He felt a sense of pressure when he saw this human. In the distance, Gusong said nothing, only looking at Cheng Ho. I say, you're at the speech realm, aren't you? You're actually showing off in front of a group of kids. I think you're not much stronger than that trash from before. Cheng Ho said in disdain, I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Mouse waved his hand desperately, indicating that Cheng Ho should be more polite. You scoundrel. You have the power of a speech realm, but you don't have the guts. Cheng Ho glanced at Mouse, then said to Yin Jing, but you're not even comparable to a mouse. At least it knows not to show off in front of the kids. You're courting death. Yin Jing's eyes turned cold, and killing intent surged. Cheng Ho stretched out a finger and said, Do you know what this is? Yin Jing was slightly stunned. Cheng Ho explained, This is a move. As soon as he finished speaking, a gust of wind rose, and the withered grass and fallen leaves around flew up into the sky. Cheng Ho's body moved from the spot, leaving behind an afterimage as he appeared in front of Yin Jing. Accompanied by a strong wind, a turbulent air wave spread out. Boom! The ground trembled as if there was an earthquake, and cracks extended out one after another. In the cracks, billowing smoke and dust swirled. By the time everyone reacted, Zhonghao was already standing where Yin Jing was standing. Yin Jing, who was full of killing intent and confidence, was lying on the ground with his face facing up. There was a human-shaped pit on the ground, and outside the pit were extended cracks. Occasionally, smoke and dust rose up. Yin Jing's body was motionless, and his aura became extremely weak. Cheng Ho clapped his hands and said, Look, you can only bully the small ones. Mouse, who was not far away, widened his eyes and looked at Cheng Ho in shock. He knew that this person was very powerful, but he didn't expect him to be so powerful. The others were also extremely shocked. This guy who appeared out of nowhere was too powerful. He killed a speech realm expert in an instant. Who is he? Shenhong had a bad feeling in his heart. If it was just helping out when he saw injustice, it wouldn't be a big deal. But if he knew Zichun, then it would be troublesome. Just as Shenhong was still feeling lucky, Cheng Ho turned his head and said, See, this is my true combat strength. Whether it's in the spiritual world or in another world, I'm the strongest. So, in the future, you better know your place. You should treat a big shot like me with the necessary respect, and not like a hired thug who can come and go at your beck and call. Zichen nodded and asked, Why are you here? Of course I'm here to take a look. After all, the spiritual world is too boring. Cheng Ho looked at Zichun and said, Why? Zichun can come, but I can't? Of course not. I thought it was Sister Hanu who asked you to come, Zichen said. At the mention of Hanu, Cheng Ho subconsciously wanted to shrink his neck, but he quickly reacted. This action was really against his image as a great expert, so he coughed lightly and said, Do you think she can control me? Zichun gave Cheng Ho a thumbs up and gave him a look that said, You're very strong. The monk and the others were very impressed. They didn't expect Zichun to know such a great expert. Suddenly, applause sounded at this moment. I didn't expect it to be you. Looks like there's an unexpected gain this time. It was the fox. It stared at Chung Ho with a strange gaze. Sir, this has nothing to do with me. He was the one who captured me. I was forced. Please spare my life. The rat hurriedly lay on the ground and begged for mercy. The fox said disdainfully, You stinky things who stay underground all day are really disgusting. Get lost. The rat crawled to a nearby place as if it had been pardoned. Chapter 46-69. Gusong grinned. Of course not. Chung Ho said, Do you mean that you can defeat me? Gusong shook his head again. Then why aren't you scramming? Chung Ho's gaze turned cold. As expected, Gusong began to retreat, but not quickly. Rat, who was in the distance, looked at Chung Ho as if he was looking at a strange person. He could make Gusong retreat with just one sentence. This was really amazing. But soon, he understood the reason. Just as Gusong retreated, some Grahan people approached. Some were not killed before, and some came later. Gusong, who had retreated far away, said, It's still the same choice. Submit or die. Chung Ho said indifferently, If you have the ability, come over and see. Before he finished speaking, the aura of a Yin Realm expert appeared. It was the third Yin Realm expert. Chung Ho's face darkened. Are you deliberately humiliating me? Previously, Chung Ho had already killed a Yin Realm expert, and it was an instant kill. Now, another Yin Realm expert was indeed humiliating him. The others in the distance watched silently. The development of the situation had long exceeded their expectations, and it had long been out of control. The Yin Realm expert that Chung Ho looked down on could kill everyone here. Of course we can't humiliate you. We value you very much. Then, the fourth and fifth Yin Realm experts walked out, appearing in 3 different directions. Chung Ho's expression was still disdainful, but in the next moment, his expression changed. Because there was a 6th aura in the field, and this aura was much stronger than the previous 5. It was not at the same level at all. Feeling this aura, everyone's expression changed. This was a completely different realm. Head realm? You were prepared? Chung Ho looked at Gusong, and his expression became ugly. You guessed that I would come? No, they were just passing by and wanted to watch the show. This is just a coincidence, Gusong said indifferently. After the head realm expert appeared, he said to Chung Ho, This time, let's see where you can run to. Chung Ho was enraged when he heard that. Run? Who do you think I am? Was it a rat? How could it run away just like that? Let me tell you something. Today, I will leave behind my words. Even if I die in battle, I will not run away. Besides Zichun, everyone was in awe of Chung Ho. The monk asked in a low voice, Where did you get to know such a great expert? This is too elegant. Before he could finish his words, he saw Chung Ho suddenly dashing off into the distance. This was the opposite direction of the head realm. The monk was stunned and couldn't say anything else. Where's your face? Just a moment ago, he said that he wasn't going to run. What was he doing now? That head realm expert was also slightly taken aback. Then, he smiled and said, Aren't you not going to run? What I want to tell you is that even if I run, you won't be able to catch up. Chung Ho quickly ran in the opposite direction. Really? The head realm sneered. Then why don't you try again? Just in the direction Chung Ho was running, another head realm aura appeared. There was actually another head realm expert. 2 of them? Aren't they too shameless? Chung Ho cursed, and then changed his direction again. Originally, we were going to look for you, but we didn't expect you to take the initiative to come to us. The second head realm expert said, Don't make a futile struggle. Fight fair and square. Fight your uncle. Chung Ho ran away again. The others in the distance were all stunned. The difference between this great expert's performance before and after was too big. Chung Ho, Zichun shouted in dissatisfaction, What should I do if you run? Didn't you see that I'm attracting firepower? The experts are chasing me. You can just escape by yourself, Chung Ho responded from afar. Zichun was so angry that he wanted to curse. This is too shameless. It's obvious that he doesn't care about me anymore. Your skin is rough and your flesh is thick. Can I trouble you to lure these 3 head realm experts away? Zichun shouted helplessly. Okay, you 3 kill Zichun first, then come and find me. Devil Ape and the others were all dumbfounded. Is this guy Zichun's friend? Gusong laughed. This was what it meant when disaster came and everyone flew away. It had seen such a scene too many times. Shinhong finally heaved a sigh of relief. There were too many twists and turns today. His heart was nervous a few times. Fortunately, everything was about to end. Imo Zhengtian shook his head and sighed. Today was too thrilling, but Zichun was finally going to die. A single speech realm cultivator could kill him, not to mention that there were 3 speech realm cultivators and 2 head realm cultivators. No, another head realm expert appeared. This was the third one, right in front of Chung Ho. Chung Ho screamed and could only continue to change direction. He didn't believe that there would be a 4th head realm expert. Facing such a situation, no one thought that Zichun could survive. As for Chung Ho, the chances of him surviving were not high either, because the 3 head realm experts had already caught up. Haha, a bunch of idiots. You couldn't catch up to me in the past, but now you think you can? Chung Ho laughed loudly. Stop dreaming. I'm the light that you can never catch up to. He immediately sped up, and his body turned into a ray of light. His speed increased many times as he fled into the distance. He really ran away. Zichun was dumbfounded. Is he really not going to care about me? Gusong's eyes were cold. He's indeed more difficult to deal with. The 3 head realm experts were helpless. In terms of speed, they were indeed slower. Just as the 3 of them were about to give up, they saw the ray of light in front of them turn back. Humph, I was just joking with you. Did you really think that I would run away? Do you think that I'm the kind of person who would abandon my friends and run away alone? Chung Ho's words rang out again. He did turn back, but he seemed to be unable to control his body. He directly smashed into the ground and plowed a mark of nearly 100 feet on the ground. Chung Ho, who landed on the ground, stood up with a dusty face. He smiled at Zichun and said, "Brother, don't worry. I'm not that kind of person." Zichun looked at this guy suspiciously. How did he change his personality? The others also looked at Chung Ho strangely. He had obviously run away, so why did he come back? Chung Ho patted the dust off his body and said, "I just wanted to show you the speed of a head realm expert. At the same time, I wanted you to compare the difference between the 2 sides. How is it? Do you have an idea now?" Zichun stood there, not knowing how to answer. Chung Ho said again, "See, you didn't understand what I meant, did you? Did you really think that I ran away? Let me tell you." Chung Ho, shut up. At this moment, a cold voice sounded from the horizon. Then, as if a cold current had appeared from afar, it swept over. Chapter 4670. The moment he saw the woman, Zichun understood why Chung Ho had suddenly turned back. There was even a hint of disdain in his eyes when he looked at him. He was even a great expert. Where was his shame? Chung Ho was signaling to Zichun with his eyes. Zichun pretended not to see it. Instead, he looked ahead and called out, "Sister Han Nu." Then, an aggrieved expression appeared on Zichun's face again. Chung Ho wanted to slap Zichun to death. It was fine if he didn't help, but he actually added firewood to the fire. A cold current swept over, and a layer of frost appeared on the ground. The 3 head realm experts abandoned Chung Ho and stared at the woman who walked in. Their expressions became extremely solemn. What kind of strange person is this? Why is her aura so terrifying? Mouse lowered his head even more, trying not to attract any attention. Gusong's expression also gradually became solemn. "Kid, think of a way to run. There are 3 head realm experts here. Even if Han Nu comes, it won't be easy to deal with them," Chung Ho suddenly muttered. Zichun was a little uncertain about the authenticity of the other party's words. Han Nu approached and glared fiercely at Chung Ho. "This is what you did." Chung Ho's face was bitter. He no longer had the domineering aura from before. He wanted to explain, but Han Nu glared at him, and he swallowed the rest of his words. Fortunately, Han Nu did not pursue the matter. She came in front of Zichun, looked at Zichun, and then looked at Zichun's friends. "Sister, why are you here?" "I came to give you something," Han Nu replied softly. Then, she stretched out her jade finger and tapped between Zichun's eyebrows. A light bloomed from between Zichun's eyebrows. Abandon all distracting thoughts and sense carefully. As Han Nu's voice sounded, Zichun's mind gradually calmed down. At the same time, he sensed what had entered between his eyebrows. Chun technique, the power of lightning. These were the three most powerful powers of Saint Zichen back then. Among them, he had already obtained the purple soul. Could it be that the reason why he was unable to awaken his abilities was because he did not obtain the art of Chun and the power of lightning? The light from the Ice Maiden's fingertip receded, and Zichen slowly sat down and began to comprehend what he had just obtained. Let's buy some time for him. The Ice Maiden turned to Chung Ho, and she didn't seem to want to negotiate with him. Chung Ho hurriedly nodded and promised, "Don't worry, if they dare to approach my brother Zichun, I will beat them up until they can't even recognize their own mother." Han Nu couldn't be bothered with Chung Ho anymore. Instead, she looked at Zichun's friends and said, "I'll leave those Gushan people to you." The others nodded. When Han Nu looked at the Gushan people again, her expression had already become incomparably cold. "Kill Yin Jing first, end this quickly." Understood. Chung Ho rushed forward, but the three Yin realm experts immediately retreated. They were very decisive. Thus, Chung Ho faced a head realm expert. Boom! A powerful wave of chi rolled and surged, and the two of them retreated. Two marks appeared on the ground, and at the end of the marks, Chung Ho supported himself with one hand and said, "Since you've caught up, I'll let you see the true power of I, Chung Ho. I don't want you to think that I was really scared when I ran away." With that, he rushed forward. The head realm expert struck out with his palm, and the energy between heaven and earth began to surge, and one could faintly see the appearance of the rules. He slapped his palm on Chung Ho's chest. Chung Ho did not dodge, and at the same time, he punched out. His fist lit up with a resplendent light, and a dense fist intent was released. There was a loud bang. Chung Ho's body slid back 3 meters, while the head realm expert was sent flying. His body turned in midair, and after landing steadily, the head realm expert's expression became serious. Again, Chung Ho moved forward again, and it was still his fist. His fighting style was extremely valiant, and he only exchanged blows with his opponent, exchanging injury for injury. After the two sides collided 5 times in a row, the head realm expert with blood at the corner of his mouth began to wander left and right, and did not dare to fight head-on with Chung Ho. At this moment, Chung Ho was like a human-shaped puppet without any emotions and could not feel the slightest pain. Every time he attacked with all his strength, the head realm expert would retreat. This was a real attack. Those who had witnessed Chung Ho's escape earlier were not used to seeing the serious Chung Ho again. In another direction, Lady Frost was fighting against 2 people by herself. She stood still, and ice constantly condensed around her, forming ice arrows that shot toward the 2 people. Facing the ice arrows, the 2 of them could only retreat continuously. The 3 head realm experts were blocked by the 2 of them, and the battle was currently in a stalemate. The Gushan people charged forward, and their target was Zichen, but they were stopped by Monk and the rest. They were no match for the Yin realm experts, but from the looks of it, there was no problem in killing these Gushan people. The devil ape waved the bamboo stick in his hand, and the Gushan people who tried to get close were sent flying. On Su Mengyao's side, the little blue and white flower danced in the air, and all the Gushan people who were near her would be momentarily distracted. Being distracted on the battlefield was the most fatal thing. Zhang Haoyin did not take charge alone, but instead, he wandered around. Once there was danger in any direction, he would provide support. When he suddenly appeared, he could usually kill with one blow. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Zichen was still sitting cross-legged, comprehending these 2 types of power. The battle here was very intense, and in the periphery, everyone was watching silently. There were so many unforeseen events today, and some people were happy and some were sad. Shin Hong's emotions fluctuated the most. Unforeseen events had happened again. What was this? Was it so difficult to kill Zichen? At this moment, he saw the 3 Yin realm Gushan people moving. At this moment, the 2 human masters were being held back, and the 3 Yin realm experts were attacking, so it should be easy to kill Zichen. However, before Shin Hong could relax, he saw Chung Ho immediately turn around and run toward one of the Yin realm experts. That Yin realm expert saw that the situation was not good and chose to retreat again, while the other 2 people moved forward quickly. At this moment, a cold current came, like a huge wave rising from the ocean, and extended toward the two of them. The cold current swept past, and one of the Gushan people retreated quickly. His whole body was covered in frost, and there were shards of ice on his hair and eyebrows. He retreated nearly 300 meters before looking in another direction. There, a lifelike ice sculpture stood there, reflecting a sparkling and translucent light. In the end, that Yin realm expert did not break out of the ice and die just like that. Gusong had not made a move all this time. He was not good at fighting, and had always been good at using his brain. Now that he saw that his side was being obstructed, he immediately called for the other masters to come over. This was the area where the Gaduan king lived, and everything was ruled by the Gaduan king. Gusong looked up to the sky and howled. His voice was loud and sharp, and it spread far and wide. Along with the sound, the shadow of a beast appeared at the end of their vision. It was a wolf, a silver wolf. He was the leader of all the silver wolves here. Chapter 4671. In Gaduan King's territory, there were many silver wolves, but there could only be one silver wolf leader. However, there was more than one head realm that appeared on the horizon. In another direction, a ferocious tiger appeared. It was the king of tigers. After Gaduan became the king here, he gave an order that there could only be one leader among his kind. The leader was the current head realm. There was no limit to the number of head realm warriors under the leader, and below the head realm were the kings of their respective teams. For example, the wolf king that Zichan and the others had killed previously, and the deer king that had been wandering around the periphery and was killed. The silent Gusong said, "I'll give you one more chance. Either submit or die." Chung Ho was a little hesitant. They were indeed in a dangerous situation. Even if they did not submit, they should leave. The Frost Lady did not speak, but her attacks were even fiercer. Her attitude was clear. The two head realm warriors moved forward. However, after taking a few steps, they suddenly turned around and looked into the distance. There was a hint of vigilance in their eyes. Gusong felt that something was amiss. However, his realm was not high enough, so he could not sense anything unusual. However, the two head realm warriors did not move forward. Naturally, they had their concerns. "Let's end this quickly," Gusong said indifferently. The Gashan people around them increased the speed of their attacks. The two head realm warriors tried to move forward again. The battle was in a stalemate again. Shinhong looked forward and his eyes began to flicker. At this moment, both sides were obviously evenly matched. They were in a stalemate, like a scale. However, if there was an external force, it would be different. This external force could be any force. Shinhong's expression changed. Since he had chosen to take this step, he had to pay a price. Will Gu Wei change his mind? Shinhong was a little worried. If Gu Wei changed his mind again, the credit would be his. However, it seemed that Gu Wei was planning to fight to the death. After thinking about it, he finally made up his mind and said, "Let's do it." He walked forward with killing intent in his eyes. "Master Gusong, we're here to help." As he moved forward, Shinhong did not forget to shout, indicating his position in advance. Gusong nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Shinhong was excited. He knew that he had made the right bet. He immediately waved his hand, and the crowd behind him increased their speed. Because they had consumed a lot of energy earlier, Tyrant and the others were barely able to deal with the Gushan people. The addition of these divine race members was indeed a tremendous pressure for them. This was because Shinhong and the others would change the direction of the battle. In another direction, MOD was anxious. "This is a great opportunity. Should we go over?" Mo Zhengtian was hesitating. Actually, he was feeling regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have expressed his stance. Mo Yishuang shook her head and said, "What we did before was providing timely assistance. Now that we're there, it's just icing on the cake. Not only is the effect reduced, but the other party might not appreciate it either. Let's wait and see. There's still a long way to go, so there's no need to rush." Shinhong's men entered the battlefield, and the Gushan people immediately split up. Tyrant was a little anxious as he glanced at Zichan. Shinhong's men had made their move. They unleashed their powerful combat strength. Every one of them was in the formation realm. The situation of the battle immediately became unfavorable for everyone. Puff. Xing Chen retreated and coughed out a mouthful of blood. There was an additional wound on his abdomen. It was caused by the bamboo weapon. Initially, Shun Hong's team only had a few bamboo weapons. However, when they came over, they picked up the bamboo weapons beside the Gushan people that they had killed and used them as their own weapons. Han Nu and Chung Ho no longer had the time to care about this place. Hei Feng was also forced to retreat. Zi Chen's side was about to die soon. This made Shun Hong even more pleased. The situation of the battle was already changing. At this moment, Zi Chen opened his eyes. There was a glow in his eyes. This glow was a little strange. The aura in the surroundings seemed to have changed. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. All of you shall die. Zi Chen stood up and glared at Shen Hong. None of you shall live. A silver thunderbolt lit up from Zi Chen's body. The power of the heavens and earth gathered towards Zi Chen crazily. The power of the thunderbolt was still gathering. A light array appeared beneath Zi Chen's feet. Array realm. Zi Chen, who had not awakened any abilities, not only did he awaken the power of the thunderbolt, he even reached the array realm. However, before the light array could form, Zi Chen's figure had already disappeared. The next moment, he was in front of Shun Hong. Puff. The bamboo blade in his hand pierced through Shun Hong's chest. Shen Hong retreated slowly. His face was filled with fear. He was unscathed. At the critical moment, a subordinate stood in front of him and blocked Zi Chen's attack for him. Zi Chen did not even look at this God Clan member. He pulled out his bamboo blade and took a step forward. A burst of energy dispersed, bringing with it a circle of dust. Zi Chen's figure disappeared. Sir, retreat. A loud roar sounded. Another person stood in front of Shen Hong and used his body to block Zi Chen's bamboo blade. The second God Clan member died. Shen Hong retreated in fear. At this moment, facing Zi Chen, who was in the array realm, he felt that he could not fight back. Die. Several God Clan members charged towards him from both sides. They all had bamboo blades in their hands. All of them had gathered their strength to the peak. Zi Chen glanced at them. A purple light flew out from his sea of consciousness. Then, it split into 5 and entered the glabella of the 5 God Clan members. The God Clan members stopped in their tracks. Their vitality was extinguished like a candle flame that had been blown out. At this moment, Zi Chen's body was surrounded by 50 different powers. These powers were not pure. There was lightning, purple light, and streams of golden light flowing around him. No one knew what was going on. However, everyone could clearly sense that the purple light from before was the power of the soul. After coming to this world, they had never seen anyone who could awaken their soul power. This purple soul power was Zi Chen's purple soul. In the past, Zi Chen had already awakened his perception ability. However, he did not appear in this form. Today, after obtaining the Chen technique and the power of the thunderbolt, the power of purple soul was displayed. Han Nu looked back. Her eyes were a little dazed. She seemed to have seen the Zi Chen of the past return. Chung Ho also noticed this abnormality. His expression changed. Zi Chen's actions intimidated the other God Clan members. For a moment, no one dared to go forward. Instead, they protected Shen Hong and retreated. The weapons of the dead God Clan members fell to the side. The next moment, these weapons floated in the air one by one. Purple light flowed on them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Like hidden weapons, these weapons flew out and sank into the chests of the retreating God Clan members. Zi Chen took a step forward. His body paused for a moment. Then, his entire body dissipated. Not good. Shen Hong, who was already trembling in fear, saw this scene. His expression changed drastically as he retreated again. Several people stood in front of him, wanting to block the danger for him. Poof! A bamboo blade appeared from behind and pierced through his heart, completely penetrating his body. Zi Chen stood behind Shen Hong. Chapter 46-72. In the blink of an eye, Shen Hong was killed. The combat strength of the two was not on the same level at all. When the other Divine Clan members saw this, they did not flee in fear. Instead, they charged towards Zi Chen as if they had gone mad. However, it was useless. Before he had awakened his powers, Zichun was already able to kill the Grey Hills. Now that he had awakened his powers, his light of power had reached the boundary of the formation state. Although these Protoss had powerful means, they were still no match for Zichun. One by one, the Divine Clan members fell and died. But in the face of such a massacre, they had no intention of escaping. All of them were fighting to the death. It seemed that Shun Hong's identity was not simple. Even if these people returned, they would still die. Zichun did not hold back. These guys who had lost their minds had to die. We have to go. At this moment, Chung Ho's voice sounded. His expression became serious, because there was another strange movement in the horizon. Other First Realm cultivators had appeared and were approaching. Zichun glanced at both sides. Without needing any words, Devil Ape, Tyrant, Zhang Haoyan, Su Mingyao, and Wang Xian were charging in this direction. The Grashman could leave, but these Divine Clan members could not. So before they left, they had to kill these Divine Clan members. A cold current surged. Lady Frost retreated to Zichun's side and said, "Hurry up and leave." Chung Ho also rushed back. Gusong, who was in the distance, laughed and said, "Can you guys really leave?" Other First Realm cultivators appeared in the horizon. They were all beasts of different species. Almost all the First Realm cultivators of each race had appeared. Everyone was surrounded. There was no escape. When Imo Jingtian saw this scene, he sighed. After so many twists and turns, it's still hard to escape death. In such a situation, no one could escape. Suddenly, under the feet of Zichun and the rest, the ground cracked open. A huge hole suddenly appeared, and everyone fell into the ground. Such an unforeseen event caused Gusong to be slightly startled. It did not remember making such arrangements. Gusong immediately rushed forward and came to the place where Zichun and the rest had disappeared. There was a huge hole below, and there was no one there. "Chase after him," Gusong shouted angrily. The Gushan people in the distance all ran over and jumped into the cave to chase after them. Gusong turned around, wanting to find the rat from before, but he found that the rat had already disappeared. At the outermost area, a large hole appeared in the ground, and a group of people jumped out of the hole. The speech realm rat from before stood at the side with a fawning expression. Chung Ho glanced at the other party with an unfriendly expression. Zichun cupped his fists to the side. There was a white rat standing upright, leaning on a walking stick. "Thank you for saving me, Senior." Previously, when they fell into the cave, it was this existence who led the way for them, allowing them to escape successfully. The depths are currently not peaceful. You all should stay here for the time being. The white rat waved its hand. Its voice sounded a little old. It glanced at the speechless rat beside it. The speech realm mouse immediately prostrated on the ground, its body trembling. "Go out and get some information," said the white mouse. "Yes, Patriarch." The speech realm mouse felt as if it had been granted amnesty and immediately fled. Having just experienced a great battle, everyone was healing their injuries. Chung Ho stood in front of the Frost Lady, waiting to be reprimanded. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The Gushan people jumped into the cave and began to chase. However, they soon found that one cave had become two, so they split into two groups. Not long after, the two caves became four, and they could only continue to disperse. 4 became 8, and 8 became 16. The number of caves in the ground continued to increase, causing the number of Gushan people to continuously disperse. In the end, they completely lost their target. Gusong had been standing outside the cave and waiting. After the latest news came, a cold killing intent appeared in its eyes. "Go and kill the rats." The head realm that had arrived stood at the side with a troubled expression. There were too many rats here. How could they kill them all? If they could really kill them all, they would have taken action long ago and wouldn't have waited until today. In history, the annoying rats had been surrounded many times. But when had they been destroyed? Go find the cats and let them take action. They must kill all the rats. Gusong said coldly. If they can't kill them all, then the stinky cat race will die out. Also, let those wild dogs help. After giving these instructions, Gusong walked forward. As for the head realm and speech realm experts, they left. The humans in the periphery were not enough for them to kill. Those who escaped earlier will be killed soon. As for you, if you want to join us and become stronger, you can come to me at any time." After saying that, Gusong left. The corpses from before were left, but the bamboo soldiers were all taken away by the Gushan people. Those should have been Zichin's spoils of war, but unfortunately, they had escaped in a hurry and didn't take them away. The others were envious, but they didn't dare to go forward. After awakening his ability, Zichin's combat strength had increased a lot. He was almost uninjured, and after recovering from his exhaustion, he sat together with the Frost Lady. Chung Ho squatted next to him, a hint of bitterness in his eyes. Earlier, he had been scolded to his face, but Zichun didn't care about the Code of Brotherhood and stood aside to watch the show. "Since you're in this world, then cultivate well. Once you get out, you'll benefit a lot," the Frost Lady said to Zichun. "Sister, have you been to this place before?" Zichin asked curiously. "Once," the Frost Lady said. "I know a little about this place." "Why? Didn't Chung Ho tell you?" Zichun told her about his meeting with Chung Ho. Facing the Frost Lady's gaze, Chung Ho hurriedly explained, "It's not my fault. We didn't appear in the same place, and I had a hard time looking for him." Seeing the Frost Lady's gaze grow colder and colder, Chung Ho hurriedly raised his hand and begged for mercy. "All right, I'll tell you a bit more. Based on what I know, after reaching the Formation Realm, it should be easy to become a Holy Sovereign. If you can reach the Speech Realm, that'll be even more amazing. However, if you can reach the Head Realm here, you'll have an extremely high chance of becoming an ancient Holy Sovereign." This was what Chung Ho personally felt. Not long after coming here, he had adapted to this place, and thus had the strength of a Head Realm expert. Chung Ho's expression gradually became serious. "But this world also has the Fiend Realm. As for what realm it corresponds to in the Spirit Realm, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's the realm that Holy Sovereigns have always been pursuing, but it might not appear in the Spirit Realm. As for Gudun, it belongs to a separate realm. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment." Chapter 46-73. These were all Chung Ho's guesses, but the level of this world was indeed higher than that of the Spirit World. Otherwise, the three races wouldn't have come here. Most importantly, it was extremely difficult to break through to the saint level in the Spirit World. But as long as you awakened your ability here, you could break through your shackles and become a saint-level saint. For the Spirit World, this was undoubtedly a cheat-like place. Many people had always wanted to uncover the secrets of this world, but no one had succeeded. By the way, why did those rats save you? Chung Ho suddenly thought of this question. If it weren't for the rats' help, they would have suffered a great loss this time. But those rats were all cowards. How could they dare to go against the people of Gaduin? Zichun shook his head, expressing his confusion. He had never interacted with rats before. Could it be fate that saved his life? But no matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem like it, because they were clearly going against the king of Gaduin. Could the rats bear the king's anger? Unfortunately, the white rat had already left, and Zichun couldn't verify it. "Stinking cat, stupid dog, I know you're here. Get out here." A cold voice rang out, and a silver wolf stood outside the cave. "What's the matter?" A black shadow walked out of the cave. It was a large black dog. Although it could speak, it wasn't in the speech realm, but the head realm above it. It was the leader of all the dogs in this area. "Where's the dead cat? Why hasn't she come out yet?" The silver wolf glanced at the cave. A speed shadow cat walked out. "Silver wolf, what's the matter? Lord Gusong said that you two should go and exterminate the white rats. Don't leave a single one alive." The tall silver wolf looked down at the cat and dog. "Exterminate? You can exterminate the rat race?" The speed shadow cat said. "Silver wolf, are you crazy, or are you still asleep? This is the Lord's order. If you have any objections, you can go and complain to the Lord. But I advise you not to touch this bad luck, because the Lord said that if the rats don't die, you will die." A hint of cruelty appeared in the silver wolf's eyes. "I've wanted to tear you two apart for a long time. Don't give me the chance. Your inner cores are good stuff." After saying that, the silver wolf turned around and left. The cat and dog stared at the back of the silver wolf without saying anything. After the silver wolf left, the speedy cat asked, "What did that white-haired wolf do?" The sharp blade dog let out a roar. A moment later, a speech realm sharp blade dog came over and quickly explained what had happened. Yin Jing Feng Dao go left, leaving the cat and dog leaders behind. The two of them fell into silence. After a while, the leader of the speed shadow cats asked, "What do you think?" Feng Dao Go said helplessly, "Let's go find White Hair and ask him about the situation. I think that guy is crazy." The white-furred rat returned, and by now, everyone had recovered quite a bit. Following this, the white-furred rat informed them of the latest situation. When Zichun heard about the pursuit of the flame rats, he said in an ashamed tone, "We've implicated you, senior. This has nothing to do with you. Don't blame yourself." The white-furred rat smiled slightly and said, "Moreover, our flame rat bloodline is not strong in terms of battle prowess, but in terms of survival ability, no one can compare to us." Even so, Zichun still felt guilty, because the white-furred rat had saved him, but now it had implicated quite a few flame rats. The white-furred rat said, "If you really feel bad, then quickly increase your strength and then go kill them all." Seeing Zichin's startled expression, the white-furred rat said, "There's no need to worry. They all deserve to die. Moreover, if you want to grow quickly, you must refine their nadens." Zichin said, "But after the formation realm, there are no energy crystals, right? That's for the deformed Gushan people. The other species all have nadens, and the stronger their battle prowess, the higher the nadens grade." The white-furred rat smiled and said, "So, there's no need to worry. Just keep on killing." "Ancestor, the cat and dog leaders are here." The speech realm mouse that had gone out to scout earlier came out from the ground. "What are they doing here?" The white-furred rat was slightly startled, then said, "Stay here and see if anyone needs anything. Do your best to satisfy them." The speech realm mouse promised, "Don't worry, ancestor." When the white-furred rat left, it nodded at Han Nu and Chung Ho, then burrowed into the ground and left. After it left, Chung Ho said somewhat worriedly, "Didn't you notice that they seem to be treating us too well?" Han Nu said, "Not us, but Zichun." She had long since noticed that the white-furred rat's attitude towards Zichun was very unusual. This time, it had taken such a great risk to help everyone, probably because of Zichun. But she didn't know why. The white-furred rat burrowed out of the ground, just in time to see the cat and dog leaders. The two sides had known each other for a long time and couldn't be more familiar with each other. "Why are you here?" Feng Dao Dog snorted and said, "Gusong ordered us to kill you. Why do you think we're here?" Speed Shadow Cat also said unhappily, "Of all the things you could do, why did you have to offend Gusong? Now, if we don't exterminate your clan, we'll die. Old thing, it's fine if you want to die, but why do you have to drag us down with you?" The white-furred rat said helplessly, "This time, I didn't provoke them. They provoked me. I'm in a passive position." "Bullshit. Don't think I don't know that you saved people right under Gusong's nose." Feng Dao Dog was angry. Speed Shadow Cat said, "Send them back, then apologize to Gusong. Maybe there's still room to turn things around." The white-furred rat shook its head. "You two are still too young. You don't understand Gusong, and you don't understand the past. Originally, I wanted to go find you three, but since you're here, I'll make it clear. I can't hand over the humans. As for you two, don't have any other ideas. The four of us have always been disliked, and it hasn't been like this for a day or two. If your father were still alive, he would definitely make the same choice as me, because this is one of our few chances." The white-furred rat's eyes suddenly flashed. "Haven't you always wanted revenge?" The expressions of the cat and dog leaders changed. Feng Dao Dog said, "What do you mean?" "I don't mean anything," said the white-furred rat. "Right now, I'm lacking some inner cores. If you have any, hurry up and send them over. As for Gusong, you don't need to deliberately reply. For the time being, I'll have the cubs go into hiding." Seeing the two leaders hesitate, the white-furred rat said, "This might be your only chance. You two don't need to know the truth. Just give me some inner cores. As for the rest, I'll take care of it. Also, don't go looking for that stupid bird. It's been busy lately." Chapter 4674. Sir, are we going out to hunt today? Bumi came to Zichun and asked excitedly. Zichun looked at Bumi helplessly. It clearly had the strength of the speech realm, and its true combat strength was much stronger than his, but it always followed him and called him Lord. He had corrected it many times, and Bumi always nodded in agreement, but it still called him Sir. Sir, I found a little wolf king today. Do you want to kill it? Zichun couldn't kill a speech state in a one-on-one fight, so he spent most of his time hunting the king of a small group. They were all in the formation state with 99 strands of power. Once they reached the speech state, they would be in the speech state. The rats had been very low-key recently, but they still had a lot of information. Zichun could use this information to easily find prey. I'm going to cultivate today. Zichun took out an inner core. This was given to him by the rat. It was the inner core of a speech state beast. Zichun couldn't get it by himself. Bumi was a bit disappointed. At this moment, it saw Chung Ho walk over. Its eyes lit up. Sir, do you want to hunt the leaders? Those leaders also have nadens. Chung Ho glanced at it and didn't bother replying. He was willing to hunt the leaders. As long as it could increase his power, why not? However, the white-furred rat reminded Chung how that not everyone could improve through the Naiden. Everyone's potential was limited. Once they reached a limit, they couldn't improve and grow. On this point, Pei Wenyao proved it very well. After he reached 60 strands of power, no matter how he refined the crystals, he couldn't improve at all. Opportunities were useless here. It all depended on one's talent and compatibility with the laws. During this time, Zichun let him try to refine the inner core of a speech state beast, but he still didn't improve. Thus, 60 strands of power was Pei Wenyao's limit. Fortunately, the others did not experience such a situation. Currently, their strength was steadily increasing. Among them, Zichun had caught up from behind and was advancing very quickly. Currently, his strength had exceeded 80 strands. As for Tyrant and the others, their strength had already exceeded 90. It wouldn't be long before they could break through to the speech state. As for whether he could successfully reach the speech realm, this was a matter for another time. After Feng Dao Dog and Speedy Shadow Cat returned, they were a little nervous. After all, this was Gaduan King's territory, and they were his subordinates. As Gu Dun King's subordinates, he had direct command over them. Therefore, the task of exterminating the rats was not something that they had to carry out. The Silver Wolf's words weren't that simple. It really wanted to kill the two leaders. If it wasn't for Gaduan King's orders, the two leaders wouldn't have survived. However, this kind of protection was only relative. If both sides really fell out with each other, King Gaduan would not pursue the Silver Wolf. This was also the reason why cats and dogs usually stayed together, just in case. This was because compared to the other leaders, cats and dogs were considered outsiders and were not treated well. No one would side with an outsider, let alone an outsider without strength and ability. Fortunately, this kind of worry did not appear. No one from the top came to pursue this matter, as if they had forgotten about it. The rats were still hiding underground and rarely showed themselves. However, they did not miss any news that they should have. My lord, you haven't hunted for a long time. If you don't go out and practice, your hands will be rusty. Bumi came in front of Zichun again. It seemed to be very bored and often came here to give Zichun advice. Zichun smiled. Indeed, I should go out and practice. Do you have any good suggestions? Bumi quickly said, Yes, there is a tiger nearby that has taken over the mountain. We can go and kill it. Don't worry, it's not a speech state. Okay, let's go take a look. Zichun stood up. Under Bumi's lead, he walked towards the so-called target. Wait for me, Tyrant called out. He was quite bored, so he followed. I'm coming too. Monster Ape also came over. Zichun glanced at the two. Aren't you cultivating? My power reached 99, then I got stuck. Maybe I'll improve if I go out for a walk, Monster Ape said. Tyrant was in the same situation. That's good. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. A young man in white walked over from a field, his hands clasped behind his back as he looked around at the beautiful scenery. Occasionally, he encountered some beasts, but when they saw the young man in white, they would immediately avoid him. The youth walked all the way to the periphery until he arrived at a sea of flowers. Looking at the flowers in front of him, the young man's expression changed. As if he had seen countless delicacies, the young man gulped. How enviable! He reached out and grabbed at the air. The flowers in front of him immediately withered. Countless amounts of pollen flew into the air and converged like a stream of water towards the young man. The young man opened his mouth and swallowed the pollen. The sea of flowers was clearly smaller now. The young man closed his eyes and smacked his lips, an expression of intoxication on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw a beautiful woman standing in front of him. The young man chuckled. Are you angry? But what can you do to me? The woman stood in the middle of the sea of flowers. Countless petals danced around her, making her look like a flower fairy. The young man tilted his head, revealing his white neck. He pointed with his finger. Do you want to chop me to death? Too bad you don't dare to come out. How about I cover for you while you come and chop off my head? Dan Xiang looked at the young man in white, still not saying anything. Woman, you're really boring. Forget it. Since you don't dare to come out, you can only wait for me to slowly devour your loss. The young man stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. When there is no more distance between us, I'll definitely do it with you. The taste should be excellent. I'm leaving. When you miss me, remember to think of me. I'll come often. The young man waved goodbye to Dan Xiang, then walked off in another direction. This sea of flowers was permanently damaged, with no possibility of recovery, because what was lost was not only pollen, but also loss. When the sea of flowers disappeared, this flower fairy would fall. Under Bumi's lead, Zichen arrived at the peak of the mountain and saw the tiger. It was only in the formation realm, and it occupied the mountain by itself. In the end, Zichen didn't have to do anything. The devil ape and the monk fought over the tiger and killed it. As a spectator, Zichen watched with relish. Bumi flattered him from the side. This was the monk's spoils of war. Just as he was about to take the crystal, he saw the devil ape glance at the peak of the mountain. The next moment, light blossomed from the peak, and a large rock whistled toward him. A sneak attack? The monk's expression changed. 99 beams of light appeared, and a light formation formed beneath his feet. He was ready for battle. The devil ape took a step forward, and the entire mountain shook. He reached out and stopped the rock with a single hand. The rock landed in his hand, and boundless light blossomed. Then, the rock turned into a stone staff, which he grasped in his hand. Chapter 4675. In the ape's hand, the big stone turned into a stone stick, and the light on the stick gradually faded. Feeling the weight of the stone stick, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile, and he waved it twice. Immediately, sand and stones flew around, and the whole mountain seemed to tremble. Just by waving the stick, the whole mountain was affected. The ape laughed and glanced at the monk who had just snatched the prey from him, very proud. Seeing this, the monk immediately ran to the top of the mountain. Feeling uneasy, he picked up a huge stone, and the light of the power around him gathered on the stone and shouted, "Change." Unfortunately, it didn't change. The monk dropped the big stone in his hand, and then picked up the next one, and continued to shout, "Change." A person appeared beside the ape, and he looked at the ape with a smile. Zichen guessed the person's identity and went forward to thank him. The ape held the stick and cupped his fist. "Your luck is not bad." The person smiled, and then looked at the monk on the top of the mountain. "Little friend, this is the only opportunity here. If you want it, you can try your luck elsewhere." The monk was very depressed and resentfully walked down. "This is too much of a bully. So many people got the opportunity. Why didn't I?" The ape laughed. "Monk, let's fight." The monk glanced at the stick in the ape's hand. "Fight my ass." A monk must avoid fighting fiercely. Feeling uneasy, the monk unwillingly asked, "Mountain God, do you know where there are other opportunities?" The man called Mountain God was slightly startled, and then smiled. "I don't know. The so-called opportunity has to be predestined." The monk asked again, "Then do you have any relatives or friends? For example, other mountain gods? Can you introduce them?" "No." The man shook his head. Seeing that the monk still wanted to say something, Zichen had to pull him away. and did not forget to say goodbye to the man. This is too embarrassing. The monk was very depressed, and he was in a bad mood. He couldn't understand why good things never came to him. When they reached the bottom of the mountain, the monk's mood gradually calmed down. He looked at Zichun and asked, "Where are you going next?" "Back." "Don't. It's boring to go back. Let's go somewhere else to hunt." The monk looked at Bumi. "Bumi, is there any other prey nearby?" "There's a silver wolf not far from here," Bumi said. "Then don't just stand there. Let's go," the monk urged. Zichun glanced at Tyrant. Naturally, he knew what this guy was planning. It was nothing more than going to some other places to try his luck. Perhaps he would be able to find his own luck. Under Tyrant's strong request, Zichun went to kill 2 more Formation Realm Kings. Tyrant stood by the side and didn't do anything. However, he didn't obtain any opportunities either. On the way back, he was not in a good mood, but the devil ape was waving the stone stick in its hand, very satisfied with this unexpected surprise. Bumi looked at the monk and suggested, "Next time we continue hunting, we can go to a place with mountains and rivers. Maybe we can find something." "Yes, that's the way it should be." Tyrant stepped forward and patted Bumi's head. "Bumi, I see that you are very familiar with this place, so I will leave this matter to you. You won't disappoint, right?" "Don't worry, Your Excellency. I will do it well," Bumi promised. It seemed to be very enthusiastic about this kind of thing. After returning, Zichun met with the White Rat, who told him a piece of important news. Gaduin's region was in turmoil, and one of the 3 Gashan demons under Gaduin's command had died in battle. The Gashan demons were existences beyond the head realm. There were only 3 of them in Gaduin's region, and their combat strength was second only to Gaduin's. During this time, Gusong didn't pursue the matter with the rats because of this incident. At this moment, Gaduin's attention was focused on the depths, and he had no time to care about these trivial matters. After all, the death of a Gashan demon was a big blow to Gaduin's power. The White Rat looked at Zichun. "Gusong has no time to care about this, so you can do whatever you want and try to reach the head realm as soon as possible. That way, if Gusong comes looking for trouble again, you can protect yourself." Zichun's current strength had reached 93 Dao Paths, and there were only 6 Dao Paths left to reach the bottleneck of 99 Dao Paths. Zichun hadn't felt the bottleneck yet, so it shouldn't be a problem for him to reach 99 Dao Paths. As for whether he could break through, it was still unknown. Before leaving, the White Rat gave Zichun another Dantian and told him to continue refining it. Apart from Pei Wanyao, who was stuck at 60 Dao Paths, everyone else had reached 99 Dao Paths, and everyone was stuck there. After that, Zichun stayed there and didn't go out until his strength reached 99 Dao Paths. Then, he felt the bottleneck himself. It was as if there were invisible shackles on his body. Even without refining the Dao Paths, Zichun knew that he couldn't break through. 99 strands of strength was his current limit. Under normal circumstances, Zichun would leave this place. However, the current situation wasn't normal. The door to leave hadn't been opened, and staying here was extremely dangerous. It was a dilemma. "My lord, why don't we go find a speech realm cultivator to play with?" Bumi came in front of Zichun and suggested. "What do you mean?" Zichun glanced at the other party. Bumi grinned. "My lord, you're at the peak of the formation realm now. There's no point in fighting other formation realms. Why don't we go play with a speech realm cultivator?" "A speech realm cultivator?" Zichun smiled. "Aren't you a speech realm cultivator?" "No, my lord, you can't." Bumi waved his little paws. "Come, I'll just treat it as a practice session." Zichun said, "If I don't test the power of a speech realm cultivator in advance, how can I deal with other speech realm cultivators after I leave?" Seeing Zichun's insistence, Bumi could only bite the bullet and agree. Zichun took a few steps back. His aura began to circulate, and a light formation appeared under his feet. When Bumi saw this, he knew that he couldn't avoid it. Fortunately, he could only accompany Zichun to practice. If he refused, he wouldn't be able to get away with it in front of the Patriarch. An even larger light formation extended from Bumi's feet. The aura of a speech realm cultivator surged. Zichun tapped his foot and instantly closed in on Bumi, punching out. Bumi's body flew into the air for a brief moment. He reached out with his little paws and blocked Zichun's punch. Bam! A ripple spread out. Zichen's body slid backward while Bumi tumbled away. So this was the result. Zichen's expression didn't change. He charged forward again and punched again. This time, the power of the punch was even stronger. Golden light swirled around the fist. This was the power of Zichen's physical body. It could also be called the art of Chun. Bam! Chapter 46-76. Bumi was sent flying backward, seemingly unable to withstand a single blow. On the other hand, Zichen's expression was solemn. The other party had taken 2 of his attacks without being injured at all. Bumi landed on the ground and grinned. Swoosh! Zichen's vision blurred as Bumi approached him like a huge wave, bringing with it a powerful oppressive aura. Zichen clenched his fists and crossed them in front of his body to block. 99 rays of power spun around his body. Another loud tremor sounded. Zichen's body retreated as a powerful force appeared between his crossed arms. Bumi landed easily and exerted his strength again. Bang! 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 The ground trembled as powerful fluctuations spread out. Monk and the others heard the commotion and walked over. They happened to see the 2 sides fighting. Their strength had reached 99 rays, but they could not advance any further. Looking at the battle before them, they could truly sense the power of the Yin realm. Last time, everyone was lucky to be able to succeed when they worked together. During this period, the carelessness of the Yin realm also played a role. He's only 1 step away from the Yin realm, but the difference in strength is so great. Monk shook his head slightly, feeling somewhat indignant. During this period of time, they had tried many methods, but no one had broken through. This had nothing to do with talent, but the suppression of the rules. It wasn't that they didn't have the ability, but the rules here didn't allow it, so they could only stay in this realm. Smoke rose as Zichen quickly retreated. Rays of power flowed around his body, neutralizing the remaining force. Don't hold back. Use your methods. Bumi opened his mouth and spat out a ball of flames. A huge fireball headed straight for Zichen. Beside Zichen, a bamboo blade flew into his hand. He held the bamboo blade and slashed at the fireball in front of him. Strong light shot out in all directions as a powerful force surged. It was cut in half. The separated fireball dissipated in front of Zichen, and the scorching air waves slapped Zichen's face. More than 10 flames flew out and attacked Zichen from all directions. They were not as large as before, but their power was not reduced. Zichen swung his saber again, and saber beams kept lighting up. The flames disappeared one after another. By the time the last flame disappeared, Zichen had already retreated more than 10 feet. His face was somewhat pale, and the bamboo blade in his hand was charred black with sparks. Bumi landed on the ground and stopped attacking. He said respectfully, "My lord is indeed powerful. Even I am no match for you." Zichen glanced at Bumi. He had punched Bumi several times, but he hadn't been able to hurt it. It was clear that Bumi's body was quite strong. This bamboo weapon is too useless. Sir, what you need now is a suitable weapon. Bumi smiled and said, "Why don't we go out for a walk again? Perhaps I'll encounter some opportunities." "Count me in." Monk walked over and witnessed the battle. Without a good weapon, Monk naturally didn't feel good. Ever since the demon ape had obtained the stone staff, the monk had always been brooding over powerful weapons. "What's the situation outside?" Zichen didn't answer immediately, but asked first. Bumi said, "Something happened in Gaduin. A demon died in battle. They're too busy looking for the murderer to care about us." "Then we can go out for a walk." Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The white-clothed youth wandered around the periphery. After leaving the sea of flowers, he went to a forest but didn't go in. With a wave of his hand, the forest shrank a little. Under the tree's gaze, he swaggered away. He passed by a mountain and came to a lake. He looked at the lake in front of him and stretched. He said in boredom, "I've eaten too many times. How boring." The water in the center of the lake suddenly churned. A woman wearing a veil appeared from the center of the lake and looked at the white-clothed youth. The white-clothed youth looked at the woman from head to toe. His gaze wandered around her waist. "You haven't changed much." He reached out his hand and grabbed the air. His gaze moved up her waist and finally stopped at a certain place. But it feels good. One day, you will die. The woman in front of him coldly said, Is that so? The young man in white laughed and said, Have you become stupid from sleeping? I am the god of this place. Who can kill me? Not far away, the soil on the ground gently churned. A small hole appeared and a mouse poked its head out. It seemed to be looking for food. It was very vigilant and looked around carefully. The white-clothed youth reached out and grabbed. The lake water in front of him surged. A large amount of water flew out like a water dragon and rushed towards the youth. The youth opened his mouth and swallowed all the water into his stomach. Look, I took away a part of your power. What can you do to me? The woman looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. How boring. Why don't you at least say a few more harsh words and let me see that helpless and desperate expression of yours? The youth immediately snapped his fingers. Not far away, the mouse that had just poked its head out seemed to be imprisoned and slowly flew up. The mouse screamed in fear and struggled. The white-clothed youth looked from afar and laughed. I'll kill you with one slash. In front of the mouse, the air began to condense and then turned into a wind blade that slashed towards the mouse. With a puff, the wind blade dodged and the mouse's claws cut off one of them. The mouse's screams became more shrill and terrified. The white-clothed youth continued to laugh. I'll kill you with two slashes. The wind blade appeared out of nowhere and cut off the second mouse's claws. I'll kill you with three slashes. The third wind blade appeared, but this time, it directly cut off the mouse's head. The imprisoning power disappeared, and the flame mouse's headless body fell to the ground. The white-clothed youth didn't forget to wave goodbye to the woman in the lake. Then, he walked forward while humming a song. Little mouse, hiding your head and not your tail. Your teeth are sharp and your hair is short. One slash will cut you in half. He reached out and pointed forward. A mouse that was hiding underground suddenly flew out. Then, the wind blade appeared out of nowhere and slashed towards the mouse's body. Cut it in half. The youth reached out and pointed continuously. For a moment, the mice that were hiding underground seemed to be dragged out by a powerful force. Then, the wind blade appeared out of nowhere and killed one mouse after another. The youth walked away, and only his singing was heard. Everywhere he went, countless flame mice died. After the youth left, the woman returned to the lake. My lord, I just received news that a speech-state silver wolf is drinking water. Let's go and take a look. Under Bumi's lead, Zichun and the others walked towards the silver wolf. Not only Zichun and the monk, but everyone came out, including Pei Wanyao. He also wanted to see what was going on. When necessary, they could still work together to deal with a speech-state wolf. At the edge of a lake, a silver wolf was drinking by the lake. When it heard the commotion behind it, it turned its head and discovered the group. The silver wolf turned around and saw Zichun and the others. Its eyes were cold. Bumi, who was a speech-state wolf, hid behind and whispered, My lord, your target is in front. Zichun said, You're also a speech-state wolf. Why are you afraid of it? It's stronger than me. If it knows that I brought you here, my lord, it will definitely tear me apart first, Bumi said carefully. Although I believe that my lord can kill it, it's better to be careful. The others glanced at Bumi. It was the first time they saw a speech-state wolf so afraid of death. They wondered if it was because it was a rat. Zichun looked around and said, Was there a battle here? There were craters on the ground and dried bloodstains everywhere. However, the traces of a battle were not obvious. No one knew what left them. Bumi's eyes turned slightly. There's an unknown fellow. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's been killing our people. The silver wolf left the lake and slowly walked towards them. Humans, you have guts. The speech realm silver wolf took the initiative to speak. Zichun waved his hand to signal for the others to stop. He walked forward by himself. The silver wolf saw through the human's intentions, and its eyes turned even colder. I will tear you apart. Zichun's body lit up. 99 rays of power appeared, and the light formation under his feet slowly expanded. You're courting death. An even larger formation appeared under the wolf's feet. The energy of heaven and earth surged, and countless streams of air gathered in front of the silver wolf, turning into wind blades. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The wind blades tore through the air and attacked Zichun. After the attack, the silver wolf stood there and watched indifferently. Obviously, it did not think that a mere formation state cultivator could block its attack. The term formation state was invented after the humans arrived. Suddenly, the silver wolf's pupils constricted. It saw the human in front of it dodging the wind blades. He was very fast. He avoided the wind blades and approached it. A powerful aura came from the front. A shining fist smashed towards the silver wolf's head. The silver wolf opened its mouth and let out a roar. A terrifying aura emerged from the light formation under its claws. At the same time, a strong hurricane with wind blades swept towards the approaching Zichun. Zichun's fist exploded in front of it. A powerful wave of air surged. His punch broke through the hurricane and hit the silver wolf's head. With a bang, the silver wolf retreated. A light flashed under Zichun's feet, and he approached again. This time, he had a bamboo blade in his hand. The bamboo blade lit up. He slashed down. With a rip, as if a thick cloth was cut open, a bloody wound appeared on the silver wolf's front leg. The silver wolf retreated again, and its expression became serious. Zichun tapped his glabella. A purple light flew out and entered the silver wolf's mind. The silver wolf's body swayed and seemed to be unstable. At this moment, Zichun came to the silver wolf's side again. He raised the bamboo blade in his hand and slashed down. Monk and the others were watching this scene. They were very focused, and their expressions were somewhat shocked. In the center of the lake, there were ripples on the surface. A woman's head popped out, and she was also watching the battle. Boomy, who was hiding in the distance, noticed the woman's presence.